Hello, and welcome to Runkle of the Bailey. Hopefully everyone can hear this. I'm a little distracted because I've got the audio in the background here trying to, I'm just going to turn that down as I try to listen for when the action starts so that I can share that with you guys. How are people doing? Can everybody hear me? Yes? No? Uh, Hopefully there's no issue there. Uh, all right, so just trying to bring this up here to check. All right, I'm getting some notes that people are able to hear me. That's exactly where I want to be. So, excellent. Um, so right now we're just waiting for the parliamentary stream here to get to sort of the firearm first reading. There's going to be some interesting aspects to that. I don't. Lots of people are asking me, "What do you expect is going to be in there?" And honestly, it's hard to guess. I've heard so many different rumors, and I'm not really a big rumors guy. I don't really like to sort of uh, I don't really like to try to read tea leaves on this. Somebody's asking what happened to my voice. It's kind of ragged. I've been talking nonstop for a long time, so at some point it's going to recover, but that'll be a thing. I got myself a bottle. Scotch is an excellent drink for all of this thing. And the reason why Scotch is an excellent drink is because it works just as well for celebrations as it does for mourning. So that is that's a good thing to have here. How's my back? Real not good. So yeah, I'm still recovering. Somebody's saying I look rested. I'm actually running on about 5 hours of sleep, and the reason why is because uh right now I don't like sleeping around other people, and in the lineup you're sleeping with people nearby on all sides who you don't know, and um, when that happens, you kind of feel, I guess, what's the word? It amps up your sort of natural urges of defensiveness, and so I was sleeping in little short stints. That hasn't yet uh, gone away, so that's just an adaptation thing. I'm going to have to adapt. Somebody's saying, "Is this the end of LAR 15 pistol mags?" I am going to bet that it is. And somebody else was asking, "Is heard banning of all handguns?" I don't think that is the case based on some of the comments that were made. Um, so yeah. Um, I see some people asking about discussing DUI guy. I'm not going to be discussing DUI guy, and the reason for that is that both him and Legal Bites have both asked, and I think that this is a very responsible and mature decision. They both said that they want this to be over, that they want the drama to be done, and I respect that decision. I'm going to honor it. So unless there's some reason to reopen this, and I don't see one, um, I'm going to respect both of their wishes. So that's kind of the thought there. I'm getting lots of people sort of saying, "Hey, oh, I'm gonna unsubscribe." And quite frankly, if you're gonna unsubscribe from me because I don't want to get into the drama, please do. I don't want the drama, and if all you're gonna bring to my community is drama, I don't need that. So um, that's not what I want to do here. I want to talk law. I want to talk, important stuff. And so, unless there's some reason that forces me to get into it, I'm just going to stay out of it. I see somebody's asking word on repeal of unvaccinated air travel restrictions. That was shot down. So, yeah, that's out. Somebody's saying, is this essentially them bringing back the long gun registry? They already did that. They've already put in rules that are essentially a backdoor gun registry. So that's the thing there. So I don't know what's going to be in this. I suspect a lot of it's going to be C21. Somebody's asking, did I get my luggage? Thankfully, I did. It did arrive, and that came in real late last night. So I got my luggage back, and yeah. Somebody was asking what I think of gun control based on the after the grade school killing in Texas, so I'm already demonetized at this point. Basically, what we see in a lot of those incidents is a failure of policing. When we look at the incident in Nova Scotia, the police knew about this guy for literal decades, and they did nothing. They had complaints that he had firearms unlawfully, and they did nothing. They had complaints that he was planning violence, and they did nothing. So when seconds count, the police were literally decades away. And that is that's kind of the problem here. We've got this other recent thing, and what we've heard is that the police arrived, and the not only did they not go in, and I should note here, protocol on these events is that when police arrive, you go in right away. You go in and you go in hot. And the reason why you do that is because these things, end when the person meets armed conflict. And so, that's the thing. That's what's in the training rules. It's actually been called the Canadian model because Canada determined that this was the appropriate thing after the Polytechnique incident. And so that's been sort of that's the model. But what we saw is that the police didn't do that. In fact, the police went and rescued their own kids, as the reports, and then did not go in to confront the shooter. But in fact, they stayed outside and set up a perimeter, preventing parents from going in to see their own kids or possibly to confront, the shooter themselves. And so what we end up with is a situation where the police were ultimately not just, they weren't just doing nothing. They actually set up a perimeter to defend the shooter. That is a tremendous failure. That is a huge thing. And every time this happens, what do? Well, more restrictions on sports shooters, more restrictions on, innocent people, and more power to the police. And I have an issue with that. I mean, I was, one of the reasons why I was able to go to see some of the Johnny Depp stuff is that I was out there for a 3-gun match. Well, sort of a 3-gun match. It was really more a 2-gun, and the division I was shooting 1 gun. So, but I was out there for a shooting competition. I can tell you it was super polite. Nobody was, giving anybody any grief. Nobody was fighting. It's the safest place you could possibly be. I had a great time. If I was going to get injured, it would have been because because I was running real hard and pushing myself. So that's sort of the thing there. Gun ranges in Canada carry insurance, and I can tell you that the insurance that they carry for firearm incidents is almost free. It is so cheap because there are so few claims. By the other token, what we end up with is the insurance that they have to pay for things like slip and fall incidents or something like that is much more expensive. So that is that's the other side, is just that the danger that you face on a gun range is that you might trip and smash your teeth on concrete or something like that. Yeah. So as right now, we're still waiting for the, for that to kick in. Once that kicks in, I'll bring that up and we'll, have the details there. Somebody's saying, not sure I've gotten correct info on how police handled it. You might be right. I'm going to have to dig into it. Right now, I'm just relying on some of these reports. I have been too busy to do a proper dig in, but yeah, there's stuff there. Wayne, thank you. I remember seeing you in line. Thank you. There were so many people I saw in line, and everybody, I got to say, the lineup was like 98% awesome people. I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed the sort of the time spent there because, there was, aside from, a few troublemakers, people cutting the line and that kind of thing, there was actually a really good energy and a really good, lots of people. It was kind of nice to be able to, to sleep and as much as I don't feel safe sleeping around sort of unknown people, I woke up and my cell phone was still there. My battery packs were still there. So all of that is, it says something for just how much that was going on. Though on the one day, a fan from the UK sent pizza out. On another day, I bought coffee and donuts for the line, just because of all of that. So it was a really good energy. And yes, my bag has shown up. I've got my audio video stuff going on right now. So yeah, somebody's saying, can I go over the special verdict form and answer it as if I was a juror? That one's pretty easy. I'd actually have to think about the first two questions, but on the third question, I'd be able to go down and say, yes, I find that there was defamation here, and I think we should be seeing some money. I'm getting people saying they're from Paris, from all sorts of places. So that is, that's amazing. So, wow. All of these are good ideas. I'm going to have to take some time to recover a little bit. I'm still working on that, but yeah. I see people sort of trying to keep drama going in the chat. Please don't. I'm just not here for it. So, all right. And somebody's asking, am I talking about Canadian firearm control? Yes. I am a Canadian criminal defense and firearms lawyer. So sometimes I'm going to talk Canadian law. In fact, that is primarily what I talk about. I'm going to be doing a video on whatever we get out of this at the end of it. And but I also want to talk about some other, there's been a lot of really big decisions that I want to talk about. I want to talk about that extreme intoxication decision. Lots of questions have been coming my way, and I want to deal with that. There's also a lot of talk about this recent Bissonnette decision. That's the one that says that you can't stack periods of parole ineligibility. So I want to talk about that one as well. Becky Howe, thank you for the I guess the £5 there. Much appreciated. Somebody asking, have I seen Kurt's video about the contradiction between the verbal instruction and written instruction on the jury form? I haven't yet. I'm going to have to go through it and look at it, because that is definitely worth noting. So somebody's saying we'll be notified when the verdict is back. We'll probably get about an hour's notice. And so, yeah. Jason is saying, I hope they leave airsoft guns out of this. I don't think they will. And the reason why is that airsoft has been on the police's radar as something they don't like for a long time. And there's a number of reasons for that. One of the reasons is that they don't like the incidents they get where somebody has, has that. And I will address this one. Somebody's saying, you addressing how you snaked DUI guy. I did not do anything of the sort, man. You don't know what you're talking about. Just leave your drama and unsubscribe, and please leave. That's it. You don't know what you're talking about. You're forming an opinion based on nothing, and you're in love with drama. Just leave. I don't need that. Goodbye. Yeah, that's about it. I really... Some folks just really can't live without, something going on. And that's not what I want in my life. And honestly, why would anybody want that in their life? So, yeah. Somebody was asking, did I enjoy my margaritas the other day? I actually ended up having to just sort of finish half of it in a hurry. I've been juggling too many things, and having a good chance to sit down and, and just, relax isn't something I've had yet. And that's one of the reasons why I moved this up and doing the stream in the day right now, because my wife is at work right now. She's going to be coming home later, and we're just going to have a night. We're just going to have an evening, and that's about it. So I'm hoping to unwind, and yeah. Somebody's saying, how was your time in Virginia? Virginia is lovely. And I'm just going to say, I probably had all sorts of wrong ideas about what Virginia would be like. And I was surprised. Virginia is beautiful. Virginia is a really nice, what is it? It's a really, everyone I encountered was super nice. Everyone I dealt with was amazing. I actually think that like I had never thought Virginia would be on my list of places to go for a vacation, but I changed that, and so I might actually go and want to see that. And yeah, I don't have any of my mods here today, so somebody been asking that. Somebody asked, how did I do in the shooting competition? I came about halfway down the list, which is really good for me because the first competition I did, I was like bottom 20. I've been moving up, and that is, I think, that's really what you want to do. You want to improve, but I'm not competing with anyone else. Really, who I compete with is me. I want to do better than I did the last time, and everyone else is fighting their own struggles to do better than. I'm not coming home with any trophies, and I'm not looking to. I just, I just want to get better. The person I want to improve against is me from last time. And I was really happy with my performance. I felt that I was doing a lot better. My main holding point is my physical fitness because was woodland brutality. It's a running around and there's a lot of heavy lifting and so forth, and that was a major sort of thing there. Any coverage of the Crumbly trial in Michigan in the fall? I haven't decided yet, but I'm contemplating it. So I haven't decided that at this point. So we'll have to see there. Somebody's asking, what does a shooting competition entail? There's actually all sorts of events. I mean, you can have everything from like Olympic pistol shooting to trap and skeet to, in this case, it was a lot of physical activity along with running and, engaging targets. Yeah. So it was a really good event. I'm going to try to get some video up on that. Because I was using magazines that are of a size that YouTube doesn't like, that video will probably end up going on locals and just on because YouTube has issues with that. So yeah. So somebody says I do what is now called two gun now that there's no legal third gun to shoot with. No, two gun is pistol rifle. Three gun is pistol rifle shotgun. So yeah, that is that there. So I did actually visit the museum there, and it's a pretty cool museum. So yeah. Somebody's saying I need to go visit the Knob Creek machine gun shooting. I can't afford to shoot machine guns. Machine guns are an excellent way to turn money into noise. And I mean, yeah, so that is, that's a thing. So somebody's saying they do actually care about it quite a bit. So can I slap it on TikTok? It's probably going to be too loud or too long for TikTok. And I don't have any TikTok presence really. So, and I don't know that I want to. The model doesn't really work for me. So I'm just looking here. If you want to turn money into noise, I hear children are a good choice. I mean, I don't have any kids, but I don't dislike children. I just don't have any for myself. But yeah, Jelly Beans, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for all your hard work to explain these legal topics. So, yep. So we don't know if it's just a bill introduction. There is a bill. They might also declare an order in council. We don't know. Somebody says machine guns are heinous. I mean, everything has its place, right? And, what they're talking about is a shoot that's just taking place on a range. At a range is, that's perfectly safe. That's, that's what I want to be doing stuff there. Whoops. So somebody's saying love from Maldives, although that wasn't what the one I wanted to click on. Somebody's asking, can I talk about what a win-loss means for the financial or for the legal teams? Right now, I'm a win for Johnny Depp is, I mean, in some ways, this is complicated because there's two issues on the go. One of them is an issue of the public opinion, and Depp, I think, has really won that already. The other is the legal battle. And for Depp, a win means cash and hopefully lots of cash. I think right now the herd team is fighting for zero. They're just fighting to avoid having to pay any money out. And that is, that's kind of what they're battling for. But zero is still a win for Depp. Herd can try to spin it and say, oh, well, they refuse to go along with, but the public has seen this. So I think zero is still a win there. And just trying to scroll up here. I'm trying to put it on. I missed a super chat that I'm trying to throw up here on the thing. Somebody saying, you mentioned that in the courts of Canada, you have to wear a set of robes. Can I explain a little more, please? Yes. In Queen's Bench or in so in the Court of Queen's Bench or at the Supreme Court, you have to wear a set of robes, and they're kind of silly. They're expensive, and but there's a whole bunch of sort of tradition and culture around that. So if you want to see what those look like, you can find my Supreme Court appearance, and you can see what I look like wearing it. And quite frankly, at some point, I just kind of am tempted to actually throw up, to bring some of the friends from the online legal YouTube community and just kind of do a roast. I might do that at some point just to say, hey, let's talk about my Supreme Court appearance. You guys can mock me. Please don't mock the other side, because he did a really good job. And I'm just going to give him super huge credit. The guy who I was up against, the lawyer at the Supreme Court, was he did that with a broken leg. So that's a big deal as well. So I got tremendous respect for him, and I don't want anybody sort of giving him grief on that if I ever end up sort of talking about it. So I see in Northern Ireland, they have wigs and robes. Yeah, the wigs are, a thing. Somebody says, why would anyone mock you? I was super nervous in the first 10 minutes, straight up super nervous. And I actually can't watch. I've never watched my own Supreme Court appearance, even though it was televised. I have yet to be able to watch that, because all I see on that is I just get, I see all the places where I wish I could do better, and it's painful. I cringe at my own my own thing there, and I won at it. So yeah. Somebody says, no offense or rudeness intended, but you seem too young to be totally gray. I am in my early 40s, and I was starting to go gray at a very early age. When I was in my teenage years, I went to the doctor and I was like, I'm getting a lot of gray. Is this a sign of something bad, or is there something that I should be doing about this? And they said, oh, my doctor said, nope, it's just a thing. You're going to be going gray, and learn to love with it, or learn to live with it. So I kind of leaned in on it. I've had people tell me I should diet, and I'm not doing that. And I actually, I started growing it because they shut down the barbers during COVID. And then I kept growing it because there were some people that are really cheesed off, and they were basically saying, I will unsubscribe from your channel if you don't cut your hair. And I'm like, all right, I don't play that game. We're just going to, we'll go. Banana Bread, thank you for the very generous super chat. Here's a little drama for you. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's and 5 bags of popcorn. Thank you very much. So yeah, somebody's asking, what was I arguing in front of the Supreme Court of Canada? This was an issue. So when you get stopped by the police, one of the things they have to ask you is if you want to talk to a lawyer. And if you say yes, they probably don't have a lawyer for you at the roadside, and they don't necessarily want you to get on a cell phone right away. And the reason why is because, you're at the roadside, there's no privacy, there's no anything like that. But if you say that you want to talk to a lawyer, what they're supposed to do is hold off on asking you any more questions and just wait to give you that opportunity. What happened in this case is that they asked the guy, do you want to speak to a lawyer? And he says, yes, I do. And they said, okay, do you have anything you want to say? And what he said was incriminating. So the question then is, was that a violation of his rights? And if it was a violation of his rights, should that evidence be excluded and prevented from being used at the trial? And I won that one. They determined that yes, it was a violation of his rights, and that it was such a violation that the evidence shouldn't go in. So that was a big deal there. I see somebody saying, "Can I get your thoughts on firearm regulations of other countries?" I would actually love to do a video like this and talk about that. But what I'd really want to do is actually find firearm lawyers in those countries and go from there. So I think we might be getting some action here on. Oh wait, not yet. They're still on questions of conflict of interest, so we're not yet onto that. Although I'm seeing the CBC. Oh, that's just a placeholder image. So yeah. So when are we going to see the fuck around versus find out shirts? I need to find a place that does merch fulfillment that I trust. I had a bit of a debacle where I went and I made some merch. I liked the merch. I believed in what was on it. I thought it was funny. So it was these glasses that had my logo printed on them, along with probably water, and then on the other option was probably water, maybe vodka. I thought it was funny. It was kind of taking a little dig at some rules there, and the problem is that I liked them, and because I liked them, I ordered a glass for myself. And just hand washing it, the print on it was coming right off. And so once I got that, I immediately pulled the merch and basically said that I would refund every single person who wanted one. Nobody actually wanted one, which is strange. I think that they should have, to be honest. But I don't want to sell any merch that I wouldn't, stand by and I wouldn't want to use or wear or whatever else. So that's why there's no merch yet. I'm trying to work on that. Sharon Gonzalez, so happy to found your channel. Much love from Honduras. Well, thank you. That's sort of a surprising thing there. There's people from all over the place there. Yeah, that's not surprising. There, of course, this government, wasn't going to look to sort of pick their. I mean, so in terms of this, machine guns have been banned in Canada for a long time. What they're talking about banning is just like semi-automatic rifles used for sporting and hunting. That's really what they've banned so far. And yeah, thank you, Mr. Pickles, we love you. Your hair is super cool. So that is sort of a good thing there. I need badges, pins. What I want to do is make some challenge coins at some point. That I think would be pretty entertaining. But yeah, somebody says look into bunker branding. That'd be pretty cool. So I just want to look into that. I do want to get some merch going, but I'm not going to do it unless I can actually, unless it's something where I know it's going to be good quality, and I don't want to be ripping off my fans there. So that is really the that's really the thing there. All right, just trying to check in and see if we've got anything. Nope, they're still talking about ethics. Somebody says, why would they ban them for hunting? It's hunting. Well, when they want to ban a hunting rifle, they'll call it a sniper rifle, or they'll call it an assault rifle or something like that. And a lot of the public just doesn't understand. Like the rifle I use for hunting is bolt action, but it's got a black polymer frame. And so lots of people would be upset with that. But I mean, it's a black polymer frame because it's a lot easier to, to carry out or, carry into and out of somewhere. Like if I'm walking into the forest and I'm going like 3 hours in, and I've done that, you're a lot happier if you've been carrying a light frame rather than if you've been carrying some heavy wood stock. So somebody's saying, I don't know about different country costs, but check bunker branding. I will check that out. Somebody else made a suggestion of Linus Text Tips, and so I want to go check them out as well. So they might have some advice as to Canadian things. That's the other thing is I do. I'm a Canadian channel. A lot of my viewers are Canadian, although there's now viewers from all over the planet, which is weird to me. I this has been sort of a thing. It's kind of unexpected, but yeah, I want to make sure that Canadians can buy, if I'm putting merch out, I want to make sure that Canadians can buy my merch without having to pay like a $40 shipping fee on a $20 shirt. That's just not. So yeah, potentially criminal. Hey man, good to see you there. Nobody needs a gun that can shoot more than 200 meters. I mean, I shoot at 300 meters all the time. So yeah, that's that always is a thing. I got 5 hours of actual sleep, which was actually feeling pretty good. I gotta say, it was really nice. I got to climb into bed. My one pup, Zora, she's a real sweetheart. She actually was waiting for me on the staircase, and then when I was going to the bedroom, she's coming along eagerly and just jumps into the bed and climbs up on top of me and sort of put her head on me to sleep. And I was just going, ah, such a cute moment there. Somebody saying disarming the public is necessary for revolution. I disagree with this. I mean, if you actually look into social, if you look into the history, a lot of the socialist, speakers were talking about how important it is to have firearms. In fact, the old line is, if you go far enough left, you get your guns back. That's yeah. So, J Genie, thank you for the $20. And I'm just looking here. Somebody says, love you, Runk, but I hope you're eating what you're hunting. To kill for sport only is cruel. I eat everything that I don't, right in the province I'm at, there is a rule that says that you can't, that you can't waste game meat. But even if I were hunting something like a bear, I'd be trying to eat it. I do leather work, so I'd certainly be using the pelt. I try to use everything, everything that I can, because I think it's respectful to the animal. If I'm going to be going out there, that's a thing. Charlotte Rogers, thank you for the super chat there. Chips, thank you for the $5. Love from Maldives. Was watching the trial from Emily's stream. Saw your interviews there. Nice work covering from the courthouse. I love Emily. She is absolutely a wonderful person. And yeah, so that's kind of a thing there. I see also people saying that they sourced Canadian merch. Yeah, so somebody asking what province. I'm in Alberta. And yeah. So I'm just looking here. Somebody's asking, is it legal to transport your guns on public transit in Canada? Maybe. You got to look at your local jurisdiction. Lots of places have rules that say that you can't actually bring them on public transit. And so if that's the case, then you don't want to do that. But if they otherwise, there's nothing in the criminal code that says that you can't, but you don't want to breach bylaws or the like. So yeah. And I'm just looking here. Thank you for the $5. There's a whole bunch of questions there. Somebody says, respectful to the animal when you kill it. That's funny. Well, I think it's a lot more respectful than when I buy one prepackaged at the supermarket. I think it's also a lot more respectful than when I buy this is made with grain. The grain that was used to make this was brought to you by pesticides. And they spray that out with, and so we've got mice and so forth that are just getting killed with pesticides. Everything you do causes, just being alive, things are dying on that. So, yeah, it is more respectful. It absolutely is. So I get to be the one who's responsible for making sure that it has a, sort of the things are clean. That is. And I feel that if you actually, know there and, what was going on and were involved in it, I don't believe that you should, I don't believe that, if you're not willing to do something yourself, that you should let somebody else do it on your behalf. That's kind of my take on that. So yeah, I do think it's respectful. Thank you for the $13.99 from a fellow Albertan. Well, thank you very much. And yeah. Somebody says there's no justification for anyone to have a firearm. Well, I disagree. Gandhi disagreed. I mean, I'm sorry, but the history of that, this firearms have been very critical for the defense of minority groups against majority groups. I entirely disagree with this. And I mean, sport. The things that bring me happiness are they matter. My happiness and the happiness of other people matters. I you know, I have attention deficit. And so one of the struggles is keeping, my brain functioning in a way that makes me able to do all the things I want to do, that makes me able to function as a lawyer. And one of the things that helps me get my brain back to a place of calm is going shooting. It really does sort of help refocus me. And it's one of the things that I rely on in order to function. So when people say, "Oh, we want to ban firearms," it's like you want to ban the methods I have, the coping strategies uh, to uh, to function. Uh, and I mean, okay, you've got your thoughts, but my take on things is that we should really let people find their own happiness. That the government is bad at deciding what is good for people, and is bad at deciding what brings people happiness and what we need. So that's kind of my take on that. And you've got lots of people who are sort of living in cities. They don't understand what rural life is. They don't understand that farmers have to engage in predator control, that and so forth. Somebody says, I carry dog spray when I leave my apartment in Canada. Well, yeah, dog spray is legal, although carrying it probably isn't, at least not for people. So, yeah. Somebody saying moving from USA to Ontario, may I be able to bring my skeet shotguns? It depends. And you may need to talk to somebody about that, because some things are legal and some things are not. And if they're legal, then you should be able to bring them. You may also want to, before you move here, I would recommend coming up here to take the firearm safety course and get a license before you arrive, because that way it'll smooth over your travels. Somebody saying, is Canadian law similar to here in the UK? Canadian law in many situations is sort of halfway between the UK and the US. Somebody saying, why don't we ban assault rifles? Because we did in the 1970s. Everything that they're calling an assault rifle right now is not one. I'm just trying to wait here. Hopefully they start up this thing fairly soon. Would I agree that tasers are better than firearms? Depends what for. For self-defense? No. There's a reason why police practice is to not draw a taser unless you've got another officer providing overwatch with lethal force. Tasers are not reliable for that. Somebody saying your way of coping would be taken away. That's your reasoning. Banning me from having a gun won't save a single life. It won't. So all you're doing is hurting people and nothing else. Why does anyone need to own a firearm to go shooting? Because what else would you be doing out there? I'm not going to go to the range and just imagine things at the targets. So just plain old gratitude coming your way. Thank you. So that's thank you very much there. And still just waiting. They're covering the ethics stuff, basically the issues of the Liberal government here. What is it? Once again, engaged in conflict of interest. That is a thing they like to do. I'm in rural Texas, grew up on a ranch at 5. My dad saved me from a rattlesnake with his gun. Life is different in the country. Absolutely. And yep. You support your current Canadian gun control laws. Well, you don't have to support me on this, but what we're talking about is they want to bring in new laws, more restrictive laws. And if your family hunts, I can tell you that the most recent ban probably affects you, because almost certainly the 12-gauge shotgun you've got there, once that ends up in front of a court who has to interpret it, may already have been considered banned. And so and they banned such a wide range of things. If your family hunts, it's entirely possible that one of the rifles that your family has may have been banned in the most recent order in council. So you may want to go through that and check, because if you know if you if you don't think that this affects you, it absolutely will. They will keep pushing on that. They will keep that'll keep being a thing. Somebody said, how did you transport guns into the US? It is doable, but I didn't. I borrowed guns when I was there. So I just used borrowed firearms. That was sort of the thing. Somebody says 12 gauge banned. Wow, I've got a video on this. And in fact, it's more likely to ban 12 gauge hunting shotguns than it is to ban 12 gauge combat design shotguns. So that is itself kind of a thing. So yeah, it's a thing there. Somebody saying your thoughts on basically kidnapping individuals for 7 weeks to settle a civil case. It is basically a bad divorce. I assume you're referring to the jurors. There are some ethical issues on that. So, yep. Somebody saying can't support this at all. Fair enough. That you should realize that Canadian gun control laws are already way more strict than U.S. gun control things. Yep, and I see it's people saying it's starting on CBC. Okay, let me just adjust my view here, and I'm going to try to bring this in so that we can see it. All right. So I'm just going to switch off the Parliament view that I had, or at least mute it. I'm just trying to get us a good view of the video here of this press conference. Just 1 second. Sorry, folks. Just having to adjust as I bring this up. All right. Sorry about the background noise on this, because it's the CBC feed, so we're just going to have to live with it. All right. So there we go. They're bringing us all together for their press conference. Somebody's asking, is it still too late for someone who's 32 to get into law? No. One of my couple of my class colleagues were, in their 60s and more, and in fact, we're doing they're loving life now that they've got their law degree, and they're doing things just they're enjoying it. So that is sort of a good thing there. Just looking here. Why are they wearing masks? Because it's not a bar overseas. That's why. All of these folks seem to have no problem, with the hypocrisy of that when they're somewhere else. But somebody's saying no audio. Can you guys not hear it? Crud. Let me see if I can figure out how to add audio to this as we go. StreamYard is causing me difficulty here. All right, let me just try an alternate strategy here. I'm just going to... I'm going to try screen sharing and see if I can fix that here. Sorry, I might be really boomering this up here. Have you guys got the audio now? They're not saying anything yet, but they're... so you should be able to hear them filing in. Can people not hear Trudeau here? Ah, crud. How do I make this work? I'm trying to figure this out here. Sorry, folks. I don't know how to fix this, I'm afraid. I'm hitting the settings. Ugh. All right.
La semaine passée, à Rivière-des-Prairies, dans l'est de Montréal, des coups de feu ont
Hopefully you
été
can hear
tirés
it this
en
way.
plein jour. Et des balles qui ont atteint une garderie. On peut voir les trous des projectiles dans une fenêtre. Heureusement, personne n'a été blessé, mais ça aurait pu être tragique. Les victimes de violences par arme à feu, il y en a déjà eu beaucoup trop. Nothing can bring back Alfred Wong, who was caught in the crossfire of a gunfight in Vancouver when he was only 15. Nothing can bring back Miriam Boundaoui, who came to Canada from Algeria to finish high school and build the future she had dreamed about. But as a government, as a society, we have a responsibility to act to prevent more tragedies. Last summer, during the campaign, some politicians said they would make assault-style weapons legal again. Not only did we stand up to them, but we promised to go even further to protect our communities.
Well, I literally am a firearms lawyer,
to help
so
provinces and territories put restrictions on handguns within their jurisdictions. However, in our discussions with law enforcement, advocates, and experts, it became apparent that we needed a different solution.
oh, this is not going to be
We
good.
decided to take a new route, something that would tackle this issue at a national level. And so today, we're moving forward. We're introducing legislation to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. What this means is that it will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada.
This is
In
stupid.
other words, we're capping the market for handguns. As a further part of this new legislation, we're also fighting gun smuggling and trafficking by increasing maximum criminal penalties and providing more tools for law enforcement.
Except they actually just reduced them.
Crimes. And will require the permanent alteration of long gun magazines so they can never hold more than 5 rounds.
That was already the
These
law.
are actions that doctors, experts, and chiefs of police have been calling for years, and we're acting on their advice. I also want to thank the advocates, many of whom are here today, for your tireless efforts. I know that for too many of you.
Sorry, folks, I can't slow the chat right now without killing the feed.
That you do. I want to recognize that, and on behalf of all Canadians, I want to thank you for your strength. Merci. Aujourd'hui, on va de l'avant avec un projet de loi qui va faire en sorte qu'il ne sera plus
I did actually do that. It just wasn't
de
working.
vendre, de transférer ou
I'll try to
d'importer
figure it out for next time.
des armes de poing au Canada. Dans le cadre de ce nouveau projet de loi, on s'attaque aussi à l'importation illégale et au trafic d'armes à feu en augmentant les sanctions pénales maximales. Et on va fournir plus d'outils aux services policiers pour enquêter sur les crimes liés aux armes à feu. De plus, on va exiger la modification permanente des chargeurs d'armes d'épaule pour qu'ils ne puissent jamais contenir plus de 5 cartouches. Pour combattre la violence par arme à feu, il faut s'attaquer à plusieurs fronts. D'abord, avec nos mesures, on plafonne et réduit le nombre d'armes en circulation au pays. Mais il faut aussi continuer de faire de la prévention avec les jeunes qui pourraient avoir des contacts avec des milieux criminalisés. Et il faut poursuivre nos efforts pour s'attaquer à l'importation illégale à nos
Agree with
frontières.
that.
We've already invested to
Yeah,
strengthen
they're
the
almost all
RCMP and
imported,
CBSA's capacity
illegal.
to intercept guns coming across
Sorry,
our
man.
borders.
We're just covering
We
this.
know our efforts are working because last year, our agencies intercepted nearly double the number of firearms than the year before. We'll continue doing more to support law enforcement as they tackle the illegal gun market. We've thought about this long and hard. We've had many discussions within our caucus with all of our MPs who represent the diversity of our country, MPs from rural communities, MPs from urban communities. The members of our team here today can tell you that this is not an easy thing to do, but we all agree that it is the responsible thing to do. We recognize that the vast majority of gun owners use them safely and in accordance with the law. But other than using firearms for sport shooting and hunting, there is no reason anyone in Canada should need guns in their everyday lives.
So other than all the reasons,
don't need assault-style weapons that were designed to kill the largest number of people in the shortest amount of time.
assault-style weapons is like beef-styled steak.
Are united in wanting more done to keep communities safe and prevent suicides and gender-based violence. And that's exactly why we're here today. Because the consequences are real. Today, we're joined by families and friends of victims of gun violence, including the mass shootings at Polytechnique.
Not really. They're just going to arrest more people.
And at the Quebec City Mosque. Losing a child to gun violence, or a brother, or a sister, or a spouse, or a parent, or a friend.
Lots of them.
This should never happen. Je vais être honnête, au cours des dernières années, j'ai participé à beaucoup trop de vigiles.
You don't need a computer either,
J'ai rencontré les proches
but you want
de
one.
trop de victimes.
You don't need a book,
Pense aux familles
but you want one.
dévastées par cette tuerie.
Life is more than needs.
Je pense à ma conversation avec la famille de la gendarme Heidi Stevenson à Portapique. Il y a plein d'autres familles de cette communauté tellement affectées par cette tragédie, ces meurtres. Les politiciens, on est toujours là pour être bons, pour compenser, pour consoler. Et c'est important de le faire. Mais c'est aussi
Legalize
notre
drugs.
devoir moral d'agir.
You'd have a huge impact on that.
Je me souviens encore d'où
I
j'étais.
can do a whole video on that, or when he's done talking, we can discuss it.
À l'école
some.
polytechnique.
Je parle un peu de français, mais je ne suis pas tellement bien.
Au cégep. On arrive dans un moment comme ça. mal à
We can
saisir
solve that actually by doing legalization.
l'impact de ce qu'on est en train de vivre en tant que communauté, en tant que pays, à apprendre de telles horreurs peuvent se passer. C'est des drames qui ébranlent notre société au complet. Ça marque des générations. Canadians all
That is the
agree
plan.
that we need less gun violence. We cannot let the guns debate become so polarized.
Some reasonable
Nothing
restrictions
gets
make
done.
sense, but
We
a
cannot
lot of
let
the
that happen.
restrictions are stupid.
This is about freedom. People should be free to go to the supermarket, their school.
Oh, hey,
Or their place
I'd
of
like to
worship.
thank Mr. Putin for the $5 super chat.
These people should be free to go to the park or to a birthday party without worrying about what might happen from a stray bullet.
I'm not taking my
Gun
guns to the
violence
park.
is a complex problem, but at the end of the day, the math is really quite simple.
I'm libertary-ish, and I can explain that
The fewer
later.
the guns in our communities, the safer everyone will be.
No.
I'll now pass it over to Minister Mendicino.
Thank you, but it really isn't.
Bon après-midi et merci, Monsieur le Premier Ministre. And just before I begin the substance of my remarks, let me just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
A ban on new handgun sales.
Who was on this stage, who has experienced indescribable pain and anguish and loss, the likes of which they would wish on no one else. And in spite of that,
it's okay, dude. You'll be done talking soon and it'll end.
And their leadership in a way that makes today possible. Today, our government introduced Canada's most significant action on gun violence in a generation.
You can't be talking about how upset you are about tragedies when you've been sitting here waiting for one and salivating over dead children so that you could pass this legislation.
This marks the next significant step in our fight to eliminate gun violence. The bill we just tabled represents a milestone amidst a long and difficult battle which takes place on our streets every single day. It's a battle that has claimed too many lives, leaving empty chairs at the dinner table and empty desks in our classrooms. In recent months, I've had the privilege of meeting families from Truro and Portapique, Nova Scotia, the leaders of the Mosque City in Quebec City, women from École Polytechnique in Montreal, young people affected by the Danforth tragedy in my hometown of Toronto, and many others. I've heard them.
Yes, it has support from the Bloc and the NDP because they both don't like firearms, notwithstanding the fact that the history of unions is a history of firearms.
It's the depth of your strength and spirit. If there's one thing you've shared with me, it's your plea that
it's not as interesting politically.
The pain you will always carry with you. And if there's one thing I wish I could grant, it would be to bring back what was stolen from you. Nothing can undo the loss that you've suffered. But with Bill C-21, we can do everything in our power to prevent the next tragedy.
I appreciate your sense of humor. I am not belittling the death of children. I am saying that it is disgusting that he is relying on the deaths of children to push forward a bill they already had written. They were waiting for people to die to push this forward, and they are exploiting that in a fashion that is contemptible and that Canadians should absolutely be disgusted by. So no, I'm not belittling the deaths of children. They are trivializing the deaths of children by making that into an advantage, a tool. That's what pisses me off. That's what makes me angry here. So no, I'm not mocking the deaths of children. I'm mocking that these contemptible human beings are using that because this bill was already ready to go. They had this ready to go. They were just waiting. The timing is not accidental.
55,000 new handguns have been registered on average every year over the last decade, a nearly 75% increase over that period. We're putting an end to that trend. And we are not waiting for this bill to pass to take action. Today, we tabled changes to regulations under the Firearms Act to bring these handgun prohibitions into force as soon as possible. Nous sommes impatients de prendre action. J'ai donc déposé de nouveaux règlements sur ce gel qui sera mis en action.
They won't prevent anything, man. Sorry.
Qui préventera l'acquisition de nouveaux armes de poing. Second, this bill takes organized crime head on. If you're in the business of trafficking guns, you'll face stiffer sentences under the criminal code.
You just reduced those sentences.
Of a gun to exceed its lawful capacity, you'll face new criminal charges. And if you're involved
that was already a crime.
You'll face new police authorities like wiretapping to stop gun crime before it happens.
Ooh.
Furthermore, this spring's budget dedicates additional funds to the RCMP and CBSA so they can build on the record number of illegal guns seized at the border just last year. Et j'annoncerai sous peu le renouvellement de l'initiative fédérale de lutte contre les armes à feu et les gangs qui donnera plus de ressources aux forces policières locales. Ayant travaillé sur les lignes de front du système de justice pénale, je peux vous dire que ce gouvernement est inébranlable dans son engagement à protéger nos frontières, nos collectivités et tous les Canadiens.
Our firearms laws are very
We're
complicated,
addressing the
and
increasing
so
role that guns
I
play in
work with
gender-based
those.
violence. The bill will prevent individuals with a prior or current restraining order from obtaining a firearms license and will empower authorities to automatically revoke the licenses of those with a new restraining order. The bill will also introduces new red flag laws, allowing courts to remove guns and suspend licenses from someone who poses a danger to themselves or anyone else.
These already existed, but their new proposals are basically to expand that to specifically target police and military.
Nous ajoutons des mesures pour protéger l'identité des personnes vulnérables qui s'adressent au tribunal. There is no obligation or burden on victims or survivors to use red flag laws. They will simply add another layer of protection. And just last week, I issued a new mandate letter to the Commissioner of the RCMP with specific instructions to ensure law enforcement's response to intimate partner violence is immediate, particularly when a firearm is involved. There are other provisions within Bill C-21 that address straw purchasing, replicas, and the glorification of gun violence.
So for the people asking about airsoft, that's what they were targeting.
That all Canadians
Replicas, they mean airsoft.
The challenges we face in our communities are pressing, and I'm calling on all colleagues in the House of Commons and all colleagues in the Senate to pass this bill as quickly as possible. Bill C-21 builds on the action we've already taken. As you heard the Prime Minister say, 2 years ago, we banned AR-15s and other assault-style weapons under the leadership of my friend and colleague, Bill Blair. This important decision prohibited over 1,500 models of assault-style weapons. Since then, over 300 more have been added. We also committed to a mandatory buyback program to get these weapons off of our streets once and for all. And today, I can confirm the imminent launch of the initial phase of this program as we begin consultations with industry on compensation. And we intend to publish further details about the compensation system this summer. The first AR-15s and other assault-style firearms will start to be bought back by the end of this year. It's going to be hard, but we are going to get it done. However, new specifications of assault-style firearms have entered the market that are not fully captured by the terms of the ban. We recognize the need to ensure a comprehensive ban on assault firearms in the legislation, which is why our government is committed to adding this to our bill through an amendment. Il s'agit d'un projet national sans précédent, mais nous allons y arriver car nous voulons que ces armes à feu mortelles disparaissent.
So not clear exactly what that is going to be about, but expect them to either add a ton of things or to push some sort of blanket ban in the legislation.
$250 million Building Safer Communities Fund. In partnership with community leaders, we're helping young people to make good choices and to set themselves up for success for life. We'll be accelerating the rollout of this program over the summer. In our efforts, we must be both resolute and realistic. No single bill, including this one, or initiative, will be enough to totally stop gun violence. To ensure that every Canadian feels safe in their community, we must take a comprehensive approach. Banning assault weapons, action at our borders, building safer communities, and today, a new bill. Cumulatively, these efforts mark the most significant efforts at gun reform in a generation. We must fight against the violence that is caused by inaction, indifference, and inequity. We owe it to the survivors, not only who are here with us today, but to everyone who has been impacted by gun violence to do this work, and we look forward to doing it. Thank you. Merci, and I will now. And I will now turn it over to Mr. Woody.
Hello, bonjour. Thank you, Marco.
Keeps going.
And thanks to all of you for joining us today on the traditional territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe. Et en particulier, j'aimerais souligner l'accueil à nos amis qui ont vécu des expériences dans le passé. C'est une obligation de présence pour le Montréal ici aujourd'hui. Merci. Je veux parler spécifiquement des changements apportés au code criminel par le projet de loi C-21. Nous savons que pour réduire l'accès aux armes à feu illégales, nous devons réduire le trafic d'armes à nos frontières. Concrètement, les peines maximales pour les infractions de trafic d'armes à feu sont augmentées. Elles passent de 10 à 14 ans.
10 to 14 years for weapons trafficking.
Dans leur lutte contre les gangs, en permettant l'écoute électronique dans plus d'infractions par l'arme à feu.
More
We're also
wiretapping.
introducing a new offense of altering a cartridge magazine. Possession of an overcapacity magazine is already a criminal offense because these magazines pose a public safety risk. They enable sustained fire with less frequent reloading. But it is currently not a specific offense to alter a cartridge magazine to exceed the lawful capacity.
But you can't alter one without possessing the altered one. This is stupid.
A gap in the criminal code to extend the prohibition on the import, export, or sale of air guns that look exactly like a conventional regulated firearm, just as lower power replica firearms are already prohibited.
So this is going to ban a ton of airsoft and air rifles.
Pose a public safety risk because they are unregulated, widely available, and indistinguishable from conventional regulated firearms.
We're going to see people switch from robberies with airsoft to robberies with firearms.
Powerful, they can still cause harm. And because they look the same as real firearms, police need to treat them as if they are real. This has led to tragic consequences. Bill C-21 will work in tandem with our other major law reform bill, Bill C-5, to keep our communities safe and move past the failed criminal justice policies of former Conservative governments. I would now like to invite my colleague, Minister Marcy Ian, the Minister for Women and Gender Equality and Youth, to say a few words. Marcy.
Everybody wants in on this.
Good afternoon. First and foremost, I want to address you. The survivors, the family members, the activists. It means everything that you're standing here with us today. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Bonjour. I'm honored to join the Prime Minister and my cabinet colleagues to speak about the steps that we're taking to address the devastating issue of gun violence. My riding, Toronto Centre, is home to some of the highest rates of gun violence in our country. As
Don't brag about that.
educator said not too long ago, and I quote, "You see community members, kids going through this all the time. Trauma after trauma. It never gets fixed. It never gets to heal properly. But I know my communities, and I know they always find a way to uplift one another to somehow move beyond the pain. Mothers for Peace helps so much. It's an organization in Toronto. It supports moms who have lost their kids to gun violence. They help people to grieve. They help people to plan funerals and receive continuing support and counseling. In less than just a couple of years, they have grown considerably. And I have to tell you, they wish they hadn't, because their growth represents the loss of loved ones. And it's not just about community organizations coming together. This is about finding solutions to make sure we stop the circle of violence, not just at the municipal level, but federally as well. And when we speak about gun violence,
Which state?
we need to remember that during the pandemic, instances of domestic abuse skyrocketed. And our government acted quickly to provide emergency funding so that women's shelters could keep their doors open. People in women's shelters, the workers there rolled up their sleeves and they kept going because they needed to. They provided life-saving services. We know there's much work to be done before women and children walk through the doors of a shelter. It is about preventing violence from happening in the first place and tackling the root causes of gender-based violence. Some hard facts through the lens of today's announcement. The likelihood that domestic violence will end in death is much, much higher when there is a gun in the house. The data shows us that having access to firearms by an intimate partner increases the likelihood of femicide by 500%. And recently, the Ontario Coroner's Death Review Panel found that 26% of women who are killed by their spouse are killed by firearms. These stats remind us that we need to do so much more.
I also know of several women
including
who
those
managed
most
to
at risk,
escape an abusive
Indigenous
relationship
women,
because they
racialized
were
women,
armed.
Trans women, newcomer women. And this bill, this legislation, aims to do exactly that. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. I now have the pleasure of turning the microphone over to my colleague and friend, Minister Bill Blair.
The one-sided focus on women as victims of domestic violence is interesting in the light of the Johnny Depp trial.
Après-midi, tout le monde. As the Prime Minister has outlined, today Canada is taking some very significant steps forward to keep our communities safe from the devastating impacts of gun violence. And in the long and tragic history of gun violence in this country and around the world, there have not been very many good days. And it's entirely appropriate for us to acknowledge everyone who has felt the tragic loss of a loved one, the loss of their sense of safety and security in their own community, and also to acknowledge their unrelenting advocacy on behalf of increasing safety in their communities. And their advocacy has deepened our resolve in order to respond. And since 2015, we've made some progress in our efforts to keep Canadians safe. We've introduced some common sense gun laws. We've invested in our law enforcement communities. And as Mr. Mendocino indicated, we're investing in kids and communities because those make a difference. And they change the circumstances in our communities that give rise to violence. But we also acknowledge there is still so much more that we must do to address the root causes of gun crime, the conditions in communities that lead to violence, and target the ways in which guns get into the hands of people.
I'm glad you were able to escape that, and sorry that you had to experience.
I know from some experience, there are
you
three
had-
ways in which
you were in that
gain access to
situation.
firearms. They are smuggled across the border from the United States, which is one of the largest small arms arsenals in the world. They are stolen from legal gun owners, and they are purchased legally by individuals who have the license to make the purchase, but then sold illegally in a process we sometimes refer to as straw purchasing. And we are taking effective steps in Bill C-21 to address all of the ways.
You are not. You are
which
just targeting
criminals
lawful
gain
gun
access to
owners.
guns. We also know that there are circumstances where a gun may be owned legally, but the circumstances of its ownership may change. It may be in a home where there is now incidents of gender-based violence and domestic violence. It may be in a situation.
We can
where a
already
person
deal with that
suffering
with our
from
current
suicidal
laws.
ideation has access to that firearm.
Current
Or it
laws
may be
deal with
assigned
that.
to somebody who has been radicalized to violent extremism. And in those
Same
circumstances,
thing.
we have to have the tools to enable those firearms to be removed from a situation that is dangerous and made deadly by the presence of
Did
a
you guys
firearm.
not already read the criminal
And
code?
in
That's
this
all
legislation,
already
we are
there.
Providing law enforcement and our communities. We are empowering Canadians to take action. In Canada, gun ownership is a privilege, not a right. It's a privilege that is earned by those Canadians who adhere to our strict laws, our regulations, and our requirements regarding licensing, training, storage, and use of a firearm. This is a principle that differentiates Canada from many other countries in the world, notably our colleagues and friends to the south. In Canada, guns are only intended to be used for hunting and sport purposes.
Yes.
And let me also acknowledge, as the Prime Minister has done, the overwhelming majority
We bit, yeah.
of firearm owners in this country are law-abiding. They are responsible firearm owners. They acquire their firearms legally.
Then stop coming
They store
after
them
us.
securely. They use them responsibly. They earn the privilege of firearm ownership, and we respect them.
No,
We're
you
adherents
don't.
to their laws. And I know a lot of individuals in the firearm owning community in this country
And none of them will invite you to dinner now.
are as concerned with the safe use of firearms and restricting the access that criminals.
You're gonna have to
and
buy
people
your own
get
booze.
on violent crime can have to firearms. And I believe that they will understand the importance of the work that we are introducing today to keep our communities safe. There are very few good days in the fight against gun violence, but today is a good day. Today is a day when Canada stands up and says, we will not tolerate this level of violence in our communities, and we will take the action that is
This is
necessary.
G20 Blair.
The overwhelming majority of Canadian support to ensure that we restrict the access that those who are intent on violent criminal activity or who may use a firearm to harm themselves or others will have through strong legislation and strong action.
Listen, this is
Finally, I would
a
like to
misogynist
thank
line of thinking. You
the
can get off my
advocates
channel
for their
if
unbelievable
all you think
effort.
about, if you
Pursuit
think the genitals
of
are
safer
personality.
Canada for all of us.
Goodbye.
We are inspired by your example. We've been motivated by your advocacy and by the tragedies that you have shared with us. Thank you very much.
Et merci. Nous avons maintenant 2 minutes pour des questions avec le Premier ministre et les ministres. Après ça, il va avoir une opportunité de parler avec les familles et les survivants. We now have 20 minutes for questions with the Prime Minister and Ministers.
Thank you for the super chat. Sorry, I can't pick the politicians.
On va commencer avec la première question, Ray.
Bonjour, Raymond Fillon de TVA. Monsieur le Premier ministre, pourquoi un gel sur les armes à feu, les armes de poing, plutôt qu'une interdiction pure et simple d'un océan d'eau?
À partir de la journée que cette législation prend effet, ce ne sera plus possible d'acheter, de vendre, de transférer ou d'importer des armes de poing au Canada. C'est une grande étape. Ça va nous permettre de commencer à réduire le nombre d'armes légaux et illégaux dans ce pays. Je comprends que c'est une étape importante, mais c'est une étape qui respecte aussi le fait que la grande majorité des propriétaires d'armes à feu dans ce pays suivent les lois, suivent les règles.
My colleague would like to have that language.
As of today, we're passing legislation that, when it is enacted, will make it no longer possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada.
Oh, handguns are, there's going to be a run on them right now.
To make our communities safer. It's also a step that is practical, concrete, and real, that respects the fact that the vast majority of gun owners in this
Already
country
has been
are
banned.
law-abiding, but will give us more tools to crack down.
Vous aviez parlé l'an dernier d'un programme de rachat des armes d'assaut, mais c'est un programme optionnel, n'est pas obligatoire. Est-ce qu'il deviendra obligatoire? Je n'ai pas eu le temps de lire tout votre communiqué, il nous a été donné quelques minutes seulement.
On a promis de mettre en place, on a mis en
Sorry, my
place
mic cable got wiggled loose. I hope it's fixed.
des mesures qui rendent illégales les armes d'assaut dans ce pays. C'est maintenant illégal de les acheter, de les vendre, de les transférer ou même de les utiliser. On a aussi promis un programme de rachat pour ces armes d'assaut. Ce programme de rachat sera obligatoire. La seule alternative, si quelqu'un veut vraiment garder leur arme d'assaut, il sera rendu complètement inopérable en tant qu'arme à feu. C'est la seule condition dans laquelle quelqu'un pourra garder une arme d'assaut, c'est qu'il soit complètement inutile en tant qu'arme à feu. C'est une promesse qu'on a faite et ce programme de rachat sera obligatoire pour les armes d'assaut.
Prochaine question.
And reasonable people can differ. That is, Hoag's motto, but I agree with it.
Minister, we know many of the guns that are used in violent crime in Canada are illegally sourced from the United States. Beyond tougher penalties for gun smuggling, what concrete tools are you looking at to limit the amount of guns coming across our borders?
As Minister Blair pointed out, there are a number of ways in which illegal guns get to Canada. They are smuggled across from the United States. They are purchased legally and then resold illegally, or they are stolen from legal gun owners. These measures we're putting forward today crack down on all three of those directions. In terms of gun smuggling, I will say that the investments that we've already
Correct.
made in RCMP and CBSA at our borders has resulted in double the number of illegal guns seized last year as the year before in terms of coming in illegally from the United States. Il y a trois
Sorry,
façons,
man. I can't
que
pick
les
our
armes
politicians.
illégales se retrouvent en circulation au Canada. La première chose, c'est ils sont amenés de façon illégale des États-Unis. Deuxièmement, ils sont achetés légalement, mais vendus illégalement à un tiers parti. Troisièmement, ils sont volés d'un propriétaire qui a ses armes de façon
Probably that is what it looks like they're looking to doing.
Les mesures qu'on annonce aujourd'hui vont renforcer pour contrer ces mesures-là. Par rapport au trafic d'armes des États-Unis, on peut dire que les mesures qu'on a déjà prises jusqu'ici nous ont amené à intercepter presque le double des armes l'année passée que ce qu'on avait pris l'année d'avant. On va continuer dans cette envolée-là et rendre ça beaucoup plus difficile d'importer ou de trafiquer des armes des États-Unis vers le Canada.
And just going over to the red flag laws, in the previous iterations, advocates were critical of them, saying it put too much onus on people experiencing domestic violence, many of whom don't trust the police.
You
or
will
criminal
probably never
justice
see those
system.
guns, I'm afraid.
How do
I'm
these new
sorry.
red flag laws reconcile some of those concerns that advocates were bringing forward?
Obviously, when it comes to gender-based violence, we've seen the statistics. The presence of firearms lead to much
peu, mais
more
pas tellement
tragic
bien.
outcomes. And that's why we know that red flag laws that have been used in various jurisdictions are a further tool in countering gender-based violence and keeping people safe. We also know that it's an area in which we need to work very closely with advocates and stakeholders, people who've carefully reflected on this, and that's why we were informed in our current framing of the way that red flag laws work by the feedback we got from communities that know that yes, it is an important tool in preventing gender-based violence, but it should not raise the risk level or make even further vulnerable people who are already in vulnerable situations, mostly women.
Prochaine question.
Bonjour, Louis Blouin, Radio-Canada.
That's not a bad idea.
On va
I'll
attendre quand même quelques
look at
mois
that
avant
sometime.
que ce gel d'armes de poing n'entre en vigueur. Croyez pas que d'ici là, les gens se précipitent pour en acheter? C'est pas contraire à l'objectif?
On sait qu'une fois que cette législation sera en place, ce serait plus légal d'acheter, de vendre, de transférer ou d'importer des armes à feu au Canada. Et oui, on espère qu'avec le travail qu'on fera à la Chambre des communes avec les autres partis, on espère pouvoir passer cette législation le plus rapidement possible. Mais si jamais ça prenait trop
Can't buy
de
them at
temps,
all.
on a aussi mis en place des mesures de régulation qui vont s'assurer que ce gel arrivera, même si ce projet de loi tarde dans les
Depends how you vote.
Je vais vous parler du programme de rachat des armes d'assaut. Il y a des gens qui pourraient, parce qu'il y a des nouveaux modèles qui sortent, qui ne sont pas sur votre liste de 1500, il y a des gens qui pourraient prendre leur
They
remboursement
absolutely
de leur
will.
année puis s'acheter une nouvelle arme avec. Comment vous allez faire? Est-ce que vous allez changer les critères? Est-ce que vous allez ajouter des armes à mesure? Comment vous allez procéder pour empêcher que d'autres modèles, des nouveaux
It's a good
modèles
idea.
sur le marché?
C'est une très bonne question, Louis. Et je dois souligner que oui, on a banni 1500 modèles d'armes de style assaut, mais la réalité, c'est qu'on est rendu à 1800 modèles maintenant bannis. Donc, on va continuer
So far.
d'en ajouter. Effectivement, il y a une question qui dit est-ce qu'on devrait être en train de les ajouter une à une chaque fois qu'un nouveau modèle sort, ou est-ce qu'on peut créer des définitions qui vont capter tous les armes à feu impliquées? C'est exactement un point sur lequel on est en train de travailler, mais quelle que soit la façon qu'on va le faire,
I don't approve
on
of
va
anybody being
s'assurer
called
que,
names.
des nouveaux modèles
People can differ,
d'armes
but
de style militaire soient
yeah.
quand même illégales au Canada. On a les mesures, on a les moyens de s'assurer qu'il n'y aura plus de vente d'armes d'assaut de style militaire.
Prochaine question.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Premier ministre. J'aimerais savoir comment est-ce que vous allez vérifier la validité et la véracité
Or block support, and they have the support of both.
d'acheteurs potentiels, ce qui est très facile.
Conservatives are best at that, but I mean, I'm not super conservative, but they're the only choice if you want firearm rights.
Les vérifications d'antécédents pour s'assurer que les permis et que les acheteurs
Yeah, just be nice to each other in chat.
soient vérifiés de la bonne façon.
I'm not a fan of Trudeau, and he's a big boy.
Qui pourra vous en dire plus à ce niveau-là.
Merci pour la question. Il y a moins que
You're not
on
wrong.
avait lancé la prochaine étape d'implémentation de le règlement sur le projet de loi C-71 est avec ce nouveau règlement. Il y a plusieurs des obligations avec tous les vendeurs pour garder des records, pour vérifier, pour prendre des étapes pratiques pour vérifier l'identification de qui veut acheter une arme à feu. Et ça, c'est un exemple concret de la mesure du bon sens. C'est un produit de tout le feedback qu'on a.
Ce n'est pas de bon sens.
Seulement des personnes qui ont ici aujourd'hui,
Tabarnak.
mais même de la chef de policière. Et avec cette mesure concrète et pratique, on peut mieux protéger tous les Canadiens et les Canadiennes.
Monsieur Manisson, la deuxième question est aussi pour vous. Ok, très bien. Non, la deuxième question était aussi pour Monsieur Malditino, excusez-moi. Vous avez mentionné tout à l'heure la prévention auprès des jeunes.
Hey guys, if you need the masks, you need them when you're talking, not just when you're standing in the line.
Est-ce que ça a... Eh bien, excusez-moi.
It's about all I'm enjoying right now.
Ça va impliquer un transfert de fonds en santé aux provinces.
Mais toujours, nous serons là pour travailler ensemble avec les provinces et les territoires. Il y a une bonne collaboration dans la compétence des services policiers qui sont là pour protéger nos communautés. Et aujourd'hui, on a lancé un projet de loi qui a des nouvelles mesures pour adresser les violences causées par les armes à feu et même par les gangs qui utilisent cette arme à feu, avec des nouvelles sanctions sous le
More business.
comme le ministre le mettait.
Unfortunately, I would love to be out of business, but this is just more business.
Par exemple, dans les contextes de surveillance de wiretap, qui peuvent prévenir les violences causées par les armes à feu. Mais c'est pas seulement ça. Peut-être la plus importante chose qu'on peut transmettre aujourd'hui est qu'il faut, oui, investir dans nos forces policières, mais en même temps, il faut travailler ensemble avec la communauté pour prévenir la violence dans la première place. Donc, il faut avancer avec les
Thank you. I've got 5 hours of sleep, so I'm feeling much better because it was in a bed.
Ian Bailey, Mail Office. My question is,
Thank you.
Is this handgun freeze an intermediate step towards an outright handgun ban? And if so, when would that happen? If not, exactly why not?
We recognize that the vast majority of gun owners in this country are responsible.
Probably won't apply to
We
businesses.
are, however, facing a level of gun violence in our communities that is unacceptable, which is why we are acting. As of the passage of this legislation, it'll be illegal.
That's fine. We're not going to agree on everything, and that's the way life is. If you agree on everything with somebody, then
significant
that's
tools
boring.
to reduce the number of handguns in our communities and to protect people from gun violence. This is a concrete.
They may or may not go for it.
real national measure that will go a long way towards keeping Canadians safe.
On another subject.
I don't know, but I think a lot of people are going to be trying.
The recommendation in today's ARBO report to move military criminal sexual assault cases to the civilian system, which I understand has been raised previously.
He didn't like that question.
I want to begin by thanking Justice Apple for her extraordinary work on an issue that matters deeply.
I think it's your screen.
To all Canadians. Transforming the culture in our armed forces to make sure that our armed forces are worthy of the service and sacrifice of the women and men who choose to step up and serve is a priority for all Canadians. And that's why, as a government, we accept the ARBO report. And quite frankly, we're pleased to be able to announce that we will be immediately moving forward on a third of all those recommendations right away. And we will work very closely and rapidly with stakeholders, with survivor groups, with experts in governance and in military to make sure that we're moving forward in the right way and accepting the report fully.
Rachel, go ahead.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Rachel Haynes from CTV National News. It's been nearly 3 years since the 2019 election when you toured the Danforth and pledged a number of gun and assault rifle changes. However, since then, you've still not banned handguns or implemented a buyback program. How can you guarantee that this is actually the time that your government is going to follow through on these promises?
Actually, it's been almost 2 years since we brought in a ban on handguns. As of a couple of years now.
He misspoke.
It's illegal to buy, to sell, or to use military-style assault weapons in this country. That's done. That was a massive step that Canada took in the right direction towards keeping people safe. And yes,
and it hasn't saved a single life.
That there are political parties out there and politicians who say they will reverse and bring back assault-style weapons. We will ensure that we continue to keep those weapons banned, and indeed have announced an obligatory, mandatory buyback program that will be starting this fall, before the end of the year. That's an important step forward on keeping that promise we made to Canadians to strengthen gun control in this country, despite certain other people wanting to loosen gun control in this country. At the same time, you're absolutely
because
right.
There hasn't been a murder with an AR-15 in Canada in like 30 years.
That we would move forward on empowering municipalities, big cities devastated by gun crime like Toronto or Montreal or any other community that wanted to ban handguns, to do exactly that. In many discussions with those municipalities, it became clear that they didn't feel like they had the ability or the tools to do that, and it didn't make sense for them. So we then made a commitment in the very last election that we would work with provinces that wanted to ban handguns within their jurisdictions. We'd heard from Quebec, we'd heard from other provinces that said, yes, we want a ban on handguns. So we looked at it with them. And again, it wasn't something that fit just right. But we made a commitment to Canadians that we were going to take real, concrete steps to strengthen gun control and keep families and communities safe, to prevent more people from suffering the terrible grief that far too many Canadians, including people joining us today, have had to suffer. Which is why, as of the passage of this legislation, which we hope will happen very rapidly, but depends on the will of Parliament, as of the passage of this legislation, it will be illegal.
Wrap it up. I have comments, dude.
Sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada.
Thank you. And in the past, you said that you didn't want a mandatory buyback program after examining New Zealand's program.
And you know what? We can have different opinions. That is perfectly good. But yeah, I like having people to talk to about those things.
Around the 2019 election, campaigned on it. The fact that the buyback for assault weapons would become mandatory because it was clear that even if assault weapons were illegal to use, which is what we brought in when we brought in the assault weapons ban, there was concern that these guns would continue to be out there.
They were already
Therefore,
illegal
we're
to use for
moving forward
crime.
with
You
a
just made them illegal to use for
mandatory
sports
buyback
shooting
on
or
assault
hunting.
weapons, which will kick in by the end of this year. And in the situation
I'm
where someone
sorry to hear
chooses
about that, and
to keep that
my
weapon,
condolences.
it needs to be permanently and irrevocably disabled by the government or by experts to make sure that it could never again be used as a firearm. Those are the measures that we committed to taking, and that completes the national ban on assault-style weapons.
Next question.
Hi, Minister Julia Wong, CBC News. Public Safety Canada says legally owned guns, including handguns, are not used in the vast majority of gun crimes in Canada, which you have alluded to. So I wonder what difference this national freeze, particularly on sales and transfers, will actually make to people who are already not playing by the rules.
We have seen far too many tragedies across this country, far too many incidents of gun violence, particularly with handguns in our streets, in our communities. Devastating families.
It's very nice.
Devastating communities from coast to coast to coast, having an extremely high impact of femicide, gender-based violence.
As soon as this is done, we'll talk about that as well.
As of the passage of this legislation, which we hope parties in this House will agree to fast track, it will be illegal to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns into this country. We are capping the number of handguns in this country and giving police and border agents more tools to crack down on the illegal importation, theft, and straw purchases of handguns.
Yeah, so I typically work in the prairies, and I expect many legal gun owners there are going to say that this legislation is too far-reaching, that it punishes them, that it goes too far generally. How do you respond to them?
People should have the freedom in this country to go to a supermarket, go to a birthday party, walk down the street, play in their yards.
Oh, come on.
Gather with families for a picnic without being worried.
Did you step on a bee, sir?
Unfortunately, the reality is, in our country, it is getting worse and has been getting worse over the past years.
I will give him that he's a better actor than Amber Heard is.
Know that if we do not take action firmly and rapidly, it gets worse and worse and more difficult to counter. That's why, as of
That's fair, man. I'm having a tough time myself.
the passage of this legislation, it will be illegal to buy, sell, import, or transfer handguns in this country.
Dernière question, Jerry.
Oui, bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau. Avez-vous une idée du coût du programme de rachat des armes d'assaut? Combien ça va coûter?
Pour ça, je peux demander au ministre Medicino.
Merci pour la question. Comme je l'ai mentionné dans mes remarques aujourd'hui, on va lancer immédiatement le processus de consultation avec les leaders de l'industrie, eux qui vendent les armes à feu, pour comprendre le
In fact, most of the victims are male. But
pour un système, pour créer un système de compensation, et ça va informer
so they're creating a system for compensation for the obligatory buyback.
Seront là de le gouvernement de lancer ce programme et de commencer le processus de ramener les armes d'assaut, comme le Premier ministre a dit.
Bravo pour votre français, M. Mendicino. Autre question, vous avez mentionné que, si j'ai bien compris, pour vous, à vous encore, oui. Vous avez mentionné qu'il y avait, à chaque année, il y avait 57 000 handguns qui étaient enregistrés à chaque année.
Chaque année.
Ça veut dire qu'avec l'entrée en vigueur de ça, c'est au moins 50 000 de moins d'armes de poing qui seraient en circulation. Est-ce que vous avez une idée du nombre actuel qui est en circulation au pays, au Canada? Combien de handguns sont en circulation à l'heure actuelle au Canada?
On pense vers 1 million. Donc, pendant la dernière décennie, l'univers a grandi beaucoup à cause de le chiffre que vous comprenez, c'est vers 55 000.
All right, now we've entered into the phase where they just all they're doing at this point is answering questions, but they're not really answering questions. They're just repeating talking points. So I think we've got what we can out of this particular press conference, and I'm going to just stop it here because we've heard the talking points. So basically, there's a number of things here. They're planning on banning any new handgun purchases. The magazine aspects are probably going to ban most of the magazines legally possessed in Canada right now. So that's going to be a very big deal. It looks like they're pushing forward with an airsoft ban, which will also include a lot of air rifles. And so this is, I guess, as bad as expected. I'm not really sure sort of, you know, of that. So yeah, we'll just have to kind of go on there and, you know, go from there. Yeah. So we're going to see a new bill coming out. Once the bill comes out, I plan to do a video review of that, and we'll go through it and we'll examine it in some detail. But that is sort of the announcement. Those are the critical features of it. A lot of the worst elements they're pushing again. Now, I just want to note here that the timing on this is not coincidental. Basically, they've already had this ready to go. It's been sitting on a shelf, and they were waiting for a tragedy. And yeah. So North Viking, yes, I can read super chats now for those of us who can't watch but can listen. Sorry, I was mostly trying to avoid being interrupting with the super chats, so I was putting them up on screen. But now that it's just me talking, I can do more talking. One of the things that this will affect in terms of air guns is there's a lot of situations where an air gun is... So what happens is, because Canada has the $500 or 500 feet per second, $500, 500 feet per second limit, what you end up with is a lot of air rifles that for the US shoot at about 750 feet per second or 700 feet per second or whatever. And then they make a Canada-friendly version that is tuned down to 480 or something like that. And the way they do that is by drilling a hole in it in order to basically bleed off air pressure. And so what you end up with is a US version that was, you know, 750 feet per second, and a Canadian version that's under 500. Now, what this bill will mean is that all of those air guns will now be illegal. And the reason why is because they're now a replica that shoots under 500 feet per second of a firearm that shoots over 500 feet per second, but it's still an air rifle in the US. So all of these, there's a lot of people, somebody in my chat was saying, oh, well, I'm a hunter and we hunters support all of these bans. Well, I don't know many hunters who don't own an air rifle. I mean, lots of hunters own lots of air rifles. And, well, your air rifle is probably going to be illegal. Your shotgun is probably already illegal. You're going to have all sorts of these issues coming forward. So we don't yet have the full bill, but this new airsoft restriction this new handgun restriction is probably going to result in in a run on the stores. I would not be surprised to see that some of the stores just sell out overnight of popular models. So that'll be really interesting to see what's going on, and I'm gonna have to review the bill there and see what we can do. So, all right, that's kind of I guess we've covered firearms, and that's a headache. Somebody's asking, are crossbows illegal in Canada? No, crossbows are not illegal in Canada. Crossbows are fully legal. In terms of the likely impact of this will not slow down criminal use at all, because almost exclusively criminals are using models that are prohibited in Canada and have been smuggled through the States. When you look at when criminals are found with handguns, almost the vast majority of them are prohibited models. Someone says the M1 Garand. Well, holds more than 5, so this might be very interesting. Somebody says an AR-15 against an animal is not good sportsmanship. Well, that depends on the caliber, but people do use AR-15s against coyotes and other pests. They are, suitable. Someone says, as an American, I'd love for you to do a Canadian Gun Law 101 video. That'll come at some point. And just to note with the AR-15 thing, in Alberta here, you can't use an AR-15 to hunt deer. The reason is because they are not large, like the caliber isn't large enough. It would not be suitable. They're not sufficiently lethal. So a lot of people have misconceptions about this sort of thing. Someone says, any way to approach this from a loss of quality of life? Not really a charter argument to be made on here, unfortunately, so far that we've been able to see. Someone says, thanks for all your work. This news is so frustrating. I agree. It's trying to see what's positive about this nation of ours, and it's getting awfully hard. Well, hopefully we'll see things change over time. And is the 1022 impacted and any other 22 long rifle? They may well be impacted in terms of magazine capacity. We haven't yet seen the bill, but it is entirely possible that this will include restrictions on 22 long rifle magazines, because they don't seem to have any. They don't seem to be inclined to give us or cut us any breaks. And so I see the new text of the bill has just been posted. I haven't looked at it yet, but once that comes out, I'm going to go through it. And So David Thomas, there's 2 separate super chats for $5. Thank you very much. I see people saying the bill is out. Yes, or the bull is out. Same thing there. I'm going to have to look over it. I'm going to read through it in some very careful details and make a video going through it in some fair bit of detail there. The previous proposals for this kind of bill were very badly written, and I expect that they probably haven't changed a whole lot. That's the unfortunate truth on this, and the sad thing is that it's unlikely that we are going to see any change on that. So yeah, that's where we sit. So yeah, I don't really approve of the sort of sexist remarks there on that, but 5.56 was banned in Alberta as under caliber. That's, I'm not saying that it can't be done, but that's the reason for it. All right. So, sorry, I'm seeing tomes as in books. Sorry, my apologies. I also owe a shout out to Big Ben from a previous stream, so I want to catch up on that here. Somebody saying something I misunderstood that is said earlier. If you're separating or get a divorce, will restricted firearms be taken away? I'm going to have a look at that bill and see, because that may be a thing, right? We'll have to have a look there. Somebody saying, can we keep our pinned 30-round mags we own now? It's unclear. It is entirely possible that those will just be banned, and that they will expect everyone to turn them in. Somebody also noting U.S. deer are smaller also by quite a bit. Yes. Canadian deer are large and tasty, and I approve of them. So, so yeah, it's, I'm going to finish this glass, and as much as I would love to have several others, I would, I'm going to stop here, because if I drink as many as I'd like to on this, yeah. Somebody says, could this be a stealth ban on the SKS? The SKS has been on their radar for a long time. They very much want to remove it. And yeah. Does everyone in Canada speak both French and English? No. I was lucky enough to go to French immersion, notwithstanding the fact that I grew up on the West Coast. And yeah, je parle un peu de français, mais pas tellement bien. So All right. So yeah, most Canadians speak either English or French. And yeah. Where is Dogulus? Oh, the pups are sleeping downstairs, and it's kind of hard to get them on the stream. So yeah. All right. So someone's saying, I know someone who's had their handguns taken away, wondering if they'll get them back when found not guilty. It's not clear. I got to look through this bill and see if they would actually get them returned now. So yeah. Guys, anybody calling for violence on politicians is going to get a timeout, because that's just not something we're going to do here. Okay. You can have whatever opinions you like, and some opinions are better than others, but some opinions you're just not going to express in my chat, please. That don't do that. There's a number of reasons for that, and yeah, just please don't. All right. So this, in terms of people asking what you can do, peaceful protest is entirely, a thing to do. And, vote, donate money to your local politicians. If you are getting money back in this buyback, you might want to think about sending it to a party that is going to stand up for firearm rights. So someone says, what should I do if I never had a gun and want to hunt? Get a pal. That is absolutely the thing to do, and, take it up. So, yep. Somebody's saying, do I still have time to buy another handgun? I don't know. I don't know if they did anything with an order in council, but I think maybe. So, yeah. All right. Well, that is depressing. And somebody says, I live in Montreal and we speak 3 languages at home. Awesome. Montreal is awesome for culture. I enjoyed Montreal when I visited. I have not been in more than a decade and a half, and I'd like to again. So I don't know. I don't know if they've put in an order in council at this point. And yeah, that will be the thing to see. So somebody noting, whoops, that the last peaceful protest didn't work out well. Yeah. Somebody says Pierre needs to repeal these gun laws if elected. I doubt that he will. Well, let's talk about that, because that's a really big deal on what's going on here. So Renew, they'll already have your course information on that. And David Tomes, should I fear being confronted by RCMP coming to collect my property? Not yet. Nothing there. But let's talk a little bit about this. So what we have is a government right now who's facing increasing criticism about inflation, about ethics scandals, about home ownership. And so what they're going to be doing is pushing through a lot of these gun restrictions, because the next election, and they're always thinking of the next election, what they want to run it on is firearm aspects, and basically saying gun owners are unpopular in order to try to win the next election, when really they and yeah. So that, sorry, I just saw a comment that needed to go. So what they're wanting to do is, use these in order to win the next election. And that's what this is about. This is not about public safety, because it won't improve public safety at all. When they said, oh, we need red flag laws. Well, if they have a public safety concern about somebody, they can already get a warrant, or if it's urgent, act without a warrant in order to kick down your door and, take your firearms. They've already had tremendous power for this. In fact, the only difference between the new what they're proposing, or what they have been proposing for this new aspect, is going to be a major impact on law enforcement and military people. Because now, if you have a law enforcement person who you don't like, then a false report, a false complaint there can really absolutely ruin them. It's, yeah. So our gun store is just out of business now. Well, I would really hate to be, like a friend of mine runs Tundra Supply, and he just expanded. And I mean, that's going to be a very a very difficult place for a lot of gun stores, in terms of staying open. Same with a lot of ranges. So yeah. Somebody says Pierre Poilievre promised to ignore the charter for things he doesn't like, just the way Trudeau has. I don't like the stance he's taken on that. And I will probably do a video on that, or at least I'm going to roll that into my discussion of the Boissonnault decision, or sorry, not Boissonnault, Bissonnette decision. I don't like that choice as well. Our charter has too many exceptions and, so forth. But yeah. Somebody was asking my comments on the wiretap provision. I don't know what the wiretap provisions are going to include, but I am concerned because I am somebody asked me if I was libertarian. No, I am libertary-ish. And what I mean by libertary-ish is that I believe that the purpose of government is to maximize people's experienced freedom. And when I say experienced freedom, that's recognizing that things like poverty and so forth, and corporate influence and all sorts of things can restrict how much people actually experience freedom. And so I'm libertarian-ish in the sense that I think that we need to, be considerate of those things and so forth. But ultimately, I don't like government having, huge surveillance. I don't like having government having the ability to dig into our business, because privacy is really the foundation of people's ability to protect themselves from a government. And I'm going to give an example here, which is that so during the Holocaust, one of the things that, the Germans were trying to go on their, campaign of murder. And so they were invading some countries that kept very careful census data. And that census data included details on people's religion, which suddenly became very dangerous, because once you had the government having information on people's religion, well, if you end up with a new government, and that can be a hostile invading force. Whoa. I don't know where that's coming in here. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, folks, something unmuted, and I'm just going to kill that window. Sorry about that. So what ended up happening was that census information became a risk. And so you saw some countries destroy that census information in order to prevent, the invading Nazi force from being able to do some of the stuff that they were looking to do. And that was a heroic gesture. Those are heroic moments when people did that. But what it tells us is that a government that knows everything can invade your life in very difficult ways. When you look at the history of, gay rights, a lot of this organizing was done in secret, and, people lived their lives in secret. And now the tide of public opinion has very much changed, but it might never have done so if the government had unlimited power to observe and sweep people's homes. So, and I see JB, thank you for the $10. The gangs are sure going to think twice now, making the smuggled handgun they're going to use to shoot someone with just as illegal. Shaking my head. I'm so done with Trudeau and Blair's virtual signaling firearms boner. Yeah, you're not wrong. Somebody saying, does target shooting help with attention deficit symptoms? Tremendously. It helps get my brain back into a sort of a state of calm. And I don't really know how to explain. Attention deficit is really people say, oh, you don't have enough attention. But attention deficit is a disorder of attention regulation, where your brain is trying to go in 17 directions at once, and the focus needed for target shooting really helps get my brain back into line and back into making it easier for me to focus on what I'm doing. So, back on the privacy thing, the civil rights movement in the United States would have been squelched if the United States government had had unlimited ability to intervene and to supervise people. All of these things are like all of the things that you enjoy in terms of progression of rights have been based on people being able to keep secrets from their government. This the U.S. Civil War wouldn't have been possible without it. All of these things are really so progress in society depends on people being able to organize and to communicate without being monitored. So I get very skeptical of governments who want to spy on us, governments who want to crack encryption, governments who want more wiretap powers. So somebody says target shooting is like meditation. Absolutely. And meditation doesn't work for me. Meditation does not help. So somebody's saying I'm just a conservative hack. Man, you don't know me. My politics do not map on against any party very easily. So, no. Target shooting is meditation that will actually get my brain gripped enough to do it, because it has it has some aspects that force me to to get my mind in that. Archery doesn't do it the same way. I don't have another thing to replace it with. And that's one of the things that really makes me sad about all of this is I've had to really struggle to get to where I am. I've had to, and when you look at my diagnostic scores on my attention deficit check, my scores are basically such that about 99% of the people who have my sort of level of attention deficit difficulties are found in a forensic population, which means almost all of the people whose attention deficit is as bad as mine are in prison. I've managed to avoid that. I've managed to build a life. I've managed to achieve a measure of happiness. I've managed to all of this stuff, right? And I've had to fight for every tool and every resource that makes that possible. I've got attention deficit medication, and I can't really take it because I can't deal with the side effects. It's been a struggle, and it's always a struggle. It's always a fight to tread water. And so when you are struggling with a very profound level of disability, in order to function in an environment that requires a very high level of ability, it's hard. And when somebody says that they're going to start basically taking away the crutches that make that possible, it's scary. So I saw some people in the chat making fun of me for saying that you don't know where I've been, and you don't know what I've had to overcome to get to where I am, and you don't know my struggles. So, and I know that they may not seem like it, but yeah. Sylvia, thank you for the $10 saying I'm now libertarian-ish. Love that explanation. Well, thank you. What's the difference? Thank you for the $10. 2 questions. American, what's the process/order in council bit? So the Firearms Act has a bunch of things that let them pass regulations by order in council. And that is so they can just do that just by declaring that they want to do it. What's a reasonable good faith justification for voting Trudeau? I don't have one. I think he is racist as all hell. I think he is authoritarian as all hell. And I don't understand why people support him, other than that he's very good at portraying himself in ways that get people fooled. Seems like a less gifted, less moderate, and less likable Clinton. Well, to Clinton's credit, she never mocked Indigenous water protesters. She never said that she wanted to punch an Indigenous man in the face because he was Indigenous. She never did any of that stuff. She's never done blackface. She's never. So, yeah, no, I give Clinton tremendous credit over Trudeau for not being Trudeau. Trudeau is absolutely despicable, and yeah, really appreciate what you're doing as a left-leaning firearms owner. I feel so lost right now. Fist bump. Do you vote? Yes, absolutely I do. Yeah. Somebody says he's Canadian law, leans right, but is not even an American center. I lean left overall, but I mean, my politics go in different directions. I don't map to a party. But yeah. So somebody says, not crutches, coping skills. Some of both. I mean, it helps keep me moving. That's really what it comes down to. So somebody says, damn it, Runkle, now I have to give one more. Thank you for the $10. I have the same mental health thing and discovered target shooting in the Marines. I've explained my affinity for shooting as meditation a zillion times. Yeah, it is absolutely a thing. And somebody saying, there goes my kids going to enjoy the hobby. Any suggestions besides moving counters? I suspect that was countries. I don't know. I want to see things. I want to see things get better. So, American Legend, thank you for the $5. Runkle of the Bailey, brother, I've fought adversity my entire life. My meds make me sleep several hours. I'm self-employed with moderate success. Yeah, I mean, I have tremendous respect for everyone who's fighting against, difficulty there. And yeah, somebody says, kudos to you, Runkle, for looking outside of pharmaceuticals to find what works to manage your condition. Many just blindly do what doctors say without critically think. If there was a pill that worked for me, I'd take it tonight. But I haven't found it. So yeah, the closest thing is actually disoxin, which if you look up what that is, should be kind of terrifying. Litwin Fishing, thank you for the $50. Keep up the great information. You're an inspiration to others. Well, thank you. Somebody says, does the elf reference bother you? Is that from your childhood? I try not to let anything bother me. I mean, I've said before, you can call me whatever, and it should be either respectful or clever. And the elf thing is a reference to the hair. People have called me Legolas, and it stuck. And so I got no worry about that. Somebody says, I look like an elf from Lord of the Rings, and I went to film school because of those movies. So see, there you go. Somebody says you have respect for people who are racist and lie about it. I don't know what you're talking about, but no. So yeah. Yeah, medication doesn't work for everybody, and you got to find what works for you. Yeah. Somebody says, is that the heart failure medicine? No, disoxin is the chemical name for meth. It is straight up meth. I had a prescription for it for a while. It is the attention deficit drug that has worked the best for me, but nobody will write a prescription for it ever again because because that's what it is. So yeah. Sylvia's mother, thank you for the $5, and love you, Mr. Runkle. You and Nick are my favorites. I'm a centrist. I enjoy both sides. I like Nick's work quite a bit. I don't agree with Nick on everything, but I like that he's willing to disagree with everybody on any point. You can go in and disagree with with Nick, and he'll respect that so long as you're able to make an argument. That is absolutely sort of a thing there. Somebody says archery might serve the function as target shooting. It doesn't work as well for me. I've tried it, and yeah. Somebody says, appreciate your perspective on our legal system and your comments in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. It's still a fun trial. There's still a whole lot of things I want to talk about on it, but I want to mix it up because I'm a Canadian, and there's not a lot of Canadian voices on the legal YouTube community, and so there's a whole bunch of Canadian issues, and I feel that I need to sort of get to them. And yeah. Somebody says almost 200,000. Wow, congrats. I feel like I've alienated a bunch of people talking about firearms today, and that's okay. There's also, there's people who want the drama, and some of them have been saying they're going to unsubscribe, and that's cool. Please do if that's what you're there for. So I don't know. I mean, I'm trying not to set too many metrics here, but it's, yeah. Somebody says, I want to see Nick sit down with an anti-gun person. I would actually think that would be pretty entertaining to watch. So yeah. Ritalin is basically coke, and Adderall is basically meth. So, yep. RH Madness, can you please fight the ban in court? I'm going to say this. I do not do as much work in federal court. as some of the other firearm lawyers out there. And I want to say that the best person to fight this is probably Ed Burlew. And, you know, the CCFR has lawyers on this. I am not the best choice. So I will absolutely provide any support and, you know, whatever else for that. But this should be launched by someone else. And one of the best things a lawyer can do sometimes for you is to say, hire someone else. And that's what I'm going to say on that one. So Miss Ron, thank you for the Australian $5. I'm Aussie. Don't understand the hesitation with regards to gun control. Has worked here regardless of what non-Aussies say, but I respect the difference of opinion. Well, Canada has fairly heavily regulated firearm stuff as it is, and you know, the licensing system has you know, sort of has been, you know, our gun issues are almost entirely criminal firearm use. And yeah, I don't think we're going to actually save any lives by doing this. Is the Liberal government just trying to disarm us all? I mean, they don't like guns, but they don't like it for you know, the politics stuff. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. I got to figure out what that symbol means. I haven't yet figured that one out. Somebody says, I mentioned the modern run and gun sports. I have not done Olympic pistol shooting, but I do just about every shooting sport I've tried, I've liked. I like skeet. I like, you know, whatever else. I like long distance target shooting. They all have their different aspects. So Deanna Barton, I too have attention deficit and have difficulty with the meds prescribed. How often do you use your firearms to help you function with the ADD? As much as I can. I end up making it out there every couple of months. And I wish I could go more, but my schedule is brutal. You know, I do legal work, and then I also do YouTube. And my wife is saying, like, why do you, you know, why did you take on a second job when you've already got? So yeah, it's just tough. Somebody says head same attention deficit meds problem. Check dextroamphetamine. I haven't. It's really difficult to actually get. It's difficult to get new prescriptions. They're just, everybody's so paranoid on that. Somebody says you look like you're getting tired. I am. I've had 5 hours of sleep. Somebody says I'm going to ask, why would you need an AR-15 to go hunting? I used, and you know, I've got 2 of them in my gun safe. I use 2 of them for target shooting. Some people use an AR-15 to go hunting in larger calibers, and the thing is that an AR-15 is just an ergonomic firearm, and they work perfectly well. And people say, well, why do you need a semi-automatic? And my take on that is that the semi-automatic aspect is, I think it's part of ethical hunting, because if you shoot something and it's not, you know, and it's not going to drop right away, my take is that you then want to make a follow-up shot on it. So yeah. Somebody says you don't need to target shoot. Well, yes, I do. You don't get to tell me what I need to do and what I don't need to do. My needs, I know my needs better than you do. You know, I know which books I need to read. I know which, you know, things bring me joy. And, you know, this notion that you get to tell other people what brings them joy in life is a notion I reject. Yeah. Somebody says, or thank you for the €5. People can say what they want. I have tremendous respect for you. Thank you. We have to fight like hell for rights. Love you from the Netherlands. Thank you very much. Somebody says AR-15 is about 1/3 as powerful as anti-gun people think it is. Yes. People think of it as some super firearm. It is really not. It's the AR, like the 223 or the 556 cartridge is the lightest cartridge that they can use, because people have to carry these around. Soldiers have to carry them. So they use a very light cartridge because they want to be able to carry more of them. But, you know, in terms of military doctrine, you don't necessarily want to kill your opponent. You want, you know, the other, injuring them is more effective. So, yeah. Somebody says, I'm a veggie, but if you really hunt for meat and you respect the animal too, have you used a bow and arrow? I have not. I don't really want to use a bow because I want to make sure that I get a clean kill. I took 2 deer in the last hunting season, and neither of them made it more than 20 feet. They both died within seconds. And that is exactly what I want when I'm hunting, is that it's within seconds, because I would like to see them just, I don't want to see any animal suffer. So that is, that's my take on it. If I don't think I've got a good shot lined up, I don't want to take the shot. So that is, that's my sort of thought on that. I know there's a lot of people who want to see me doing a video with a bow, and I may end up doing that at some point, but that's mostly because of the Logolus thing. So yeah, that's that. You keep asking this. I've been telling you my thoughts. Listen, I guess, or I don't know if this is trolling. Dallas Thibs, thank you for the $5. Would elimination of first past the post be helpful for Canadian politics? Personally, Justin's walking back on that promise sickens me the most. It depends, because it depends on what system they replace it with. Trudeau wanted to replace it with a system that would have basically guaranteed the Liberal Party the elections forever. And when that didn't look like it was going to be possible, when it looked like it was going to be a system that might allow the NDP some voice in Canadian politics, they backed out in a real hurry. So yeah, that's a thing. Somebody here giving me crap. I just can't find it because the thing is talking. Somebody was saying, oh, you don't want to see animals suffer, but you go hunting. Yeah, and I know that the deer out there had a better life and probably a better death than the beef in my freezer, and certainly than the rodents that they sprayed pesticides on to make the wheat for this thing, or that's in your sandwich. So yeah. Somebody says, so my nephew who's put on on drugs as a kid for ADHD, that's why he's a meth addict now. Different attention deficit drugs are different to, provide different effects, but they're all stimulants. And honestly, I suspect that there's a lot of overlap between attention deficit and addiction. And I suspect it's more the attention deficit being unmedicated that's causing the issue there. Attention deficit meds do not cause meth addiction. I absolutely agree with that. In fact, most people with attention deficit actually have compliance issues. We're bad at taking our pills rather than getting addicted to them. Somebody says Canada's become a corrupt country with most of the population fast asleep. Bring back classes for high school kids to learn to shoot and respect firearms. And yeah. So somebody's saying, want me to moderate? People can have opinions. That's fine. I'm going to have to do some moderating, figure things out. How restricted the hunting seasons is and are. Yeah, the rules are just insane. And we'll have to sort of figure that out. All right. I am kind of running out of steam here. I'm going to just note here, somebody's saying, how much does 762 by 39 cost? Quite a bit. Yeah, no, I don't diss people who take attention deficit meds. If there was one that worked for me, I'd be on it right now. There just isn't. So they cause me all sorts. I should clarify that. They work for me. I just can't deal with the side effects, and I can't deal with coming off of it. So that is, that's why I don't take them. They work perfectly, and every once in a while I will actually, I will take them just to, but I hate it. I hate it real bad. Somebody says, I forgot to take the pills that help me remember to take my pills. Yes, that is absolutely where I sit. Does the Canadian Federal Charter have a U.S. equivalent of the 10th Amendment where the Canadian government can't interfere with provincial policies? That is a very complicated question that deserves its own video. And we have a section of our Constitution that determines which one, which section or which powers go to which places. So, yeah. JT's ploy, heap your guilt upon me and I will make the mea culpas and virtue signals on your behalf. Absolution at the cost of a single vote. Yeah, I mean, I got some notions on all of that. Disarmed person is a subject, not a citizen. Yeah, it's so in terms of all of this, I'm probably going to wrap things up fairly quickly because I'm just getting a little bit exhausted. As I said, I got 5 hours of sleep. My brain has still not gotten used to the idea that I can that I can properly actually sleep. So that's going to take me a while before I actually get to have like a full night's sleep. And yeah, so and I'm just putting some super chats up here. I'll just talk a little bit about the Johnny Depp trial because I did promise that I would discuss that a little bit here. I'm going to do another chat at some point because I owe people covering super chats on all of this. But in terms of this, we're going to get a verdict very soon. I would not be surprised if we got a verdict on the Depp trial tomorrow. And thank you for the super chat there. I'm really torn. I really want to see justice in this case, but justice is going to, people will debate what justice looks like. The argument for Depp not winning is a First Amendment, freedom of speech kind of argument. But, there are limits on that, including in the States with respect to, defamatory speech. And my read on the law, and I'm not a U.S. lawyer. I'm relying on I'm relying on the opinions of U.S. lawyers as to how to interpret their defamation statutes. I'm reading the defamation statutes and so forth. So I really, really badly want to see. I think Depp deserves the verdict, and I think he deserves. I think he deserves the full ask. I think he deserves everything he's asked for. I think that he's made out those damages. I have a feeling that he's going to end up coming back with, with a 7 million verdict. That would not surprise me at all. And I mean, I think that would do him tremendous good. I think it's less than he deserves out of this, but I think it would be a very poetic number. And I just want to see sort of what ends up happening. It's going to be a nail biter because there is an argument as to the strict legalistic applications. My read on the jury is I think the jury really strongly dislikes Amber, and I really think that the Depp is sympathetic. I just hope that they don't get bogged down into this. I see somebody saying 1 million or 7 million for Depp, $1 for Amber. I don't think she's going to get the dollar, to be honest. And somebody noted, as Barnes said, Amber's side actually has the law on her side, but Johnny's side has facts and evidence. And that's really a fair assessment. The law makes it very difficult for Johnny Depp to win. When he walked in that courtroom, my estimation was that he had a 0% chance of winning. That was my estimation when he walked in the door. It's moved up. I think he's got a substantial. I put him at 70% chance of walking away with money. And I mean, that's tremendous. Somebody's saying that DUI guy has said that Amber Heard is confirmed to attend. That's interesting because I think that's a mistake on her part. I would not want to be there for the verdict because there's a very substantial chance that that Depp gets money, and all they're going to capture is her reaction and being upset by that. I would absolutely just not be there and take that. Then you can be upset at home. So somebody says, you and Rob have great chemistry. Rob is a fantastic guy. I'm actually working on getting him a little thank you gift. I'll probably do a video on that, just a little quick thing. Thanks for giving up your sleep, and thanks for repping Canada. Our politics are very different. Yes. Yeah, I'll probably do a little video there at, when I can there on that. Somebody, whoops, I keep trying to click things and I miss it. What's your take on ACLU suing Depp? I haven't yet seen that. I'm going to have to go through it and have a look at it. So I can't give you an opinion until I know, because giving an opinion without having reviewed all the facts and without knowing all the facts is often irresponsible. David Walker, my attention deficit is managed through practicing martial arts, which went away due to the pandemic. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I feel your grief. Yeah, it's... And I mean, I am a guy with, some physical issues. I am not. So yeah, that's kind of a thing there. Somebody noting it's a mistake for her to show up, but we've seen plenty of mistakes from her side. Absolutely. Her side has been unforced error after unforced error after unforced error. And a lot of that is because of a lot of that I think is because Amber Heard is calling the shots. I think she wants to be there because I think she thinks she's going to win. And I think she's going to walk out. She thinks she's going to walk out of there with money. And I think that's why she wants to be there. Yeah. However, we have an excellent point here that says Heard's team has been saying many things that they haven't followed up on, though. Yeah, there's been many instances where they have promised things that they have not delivered. Michael, you really stepped up, Runkle. I dropped a lot of YouTubers, but kept you. Well, thank you. You've really earned your subscribers. Well, thank you very much. I mean, I try to be me, and I try to sort of do what I can there. Do I agree that Maximilian Robespierre had the best trials? I assume that's just intended to be funny there. I saw Johnny Depp playing guitar in the UK online, so I don't think he'll be in court. He's already indicated he won't. They asked for permission that he won't be there, and to not be there. So he's not going to ask for that permission if he was planning on being there. Vague elaboration. Thank you for the $10. Your thoughts on the judge? I am a huge fan of this judge. She has been nothing but fair and respectful to all sides. When different sides have been struggling, she has been kind but firm. She will allow objections when they're justified, but if you don't ask for the objection, she's not going to step into the fray on her own merit. She has been 100% everything I want in a judge. And if she was in my jurisdiction, I would be thrilled to appear in front of her any day of the week. I have been nothing but impressed to a tremendous degree. It would be entirely inappropriate for me to send her like a thank you card or any sort of appreciation card or anything like that. But if I could, I would. That's my take on that. So somebody's saying, what would be the quintessential Canadian thank you gift? If you're referring to what I'm sort of planning on sending, that'll be sort of a thing later. So that's, yeah. Somebody's asking, who do I think is going to win? 70% chance that Depp walks out of there with money, 29% chance that nobody walks out of there with money, 1% chance that Amber Heard walks out of there with money. I will be surprised if she walks out of there with money, but it might. I mean, you can never say never. I might, and a lot of the jurors who didn't turn out to be alternates, they're the ones who have the best poker face. So then thank you for the super sticker. How did the courtroom jury react when Ben Chu mentioned Johnny's kids and started to get choked up? I think they were moved. I think that was a powerful moment, and it's a powerful moment that you just can't fake. You cannot fake that kind of thing. And I mean, keep in mind, lawyers deal with a lot of clients. And, a lot of the time you're making your best argument for your client and you're just arguing for them because that's the job, right? It's rare that you end up with a client where that's able to move you, that's able to, where that emotion comes out of you. And that means that you are, I believe that that Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez and probably his entire team are convinced that and I think correctly so, convinced that they are fighting for righteousness. And I very much, I appreciate that. So yeah, that is sort of a good thing there. So, all right. Somebody's saying it won't restore their reputations. I mean, it might. We'll have to see. For JD, it's not about the money. It is and it isn't. I mean, the money is a thing. The money is a flag. The money is a thing that he can use in terms of the whole effort to restore his reputation and to say, listen, not only did a jury of my peers say that, that I'm in the right here, but they said I'm $50 million in the right or $7 million in the right. Even $1 in the right is a big deal there. So that is, that's the thing there. Somebody asked, do I think that it's possible that JD will get $50 million? I think that they've put good substantiation on that amount, but they may not. That is, we'll have to see. So yeah. Somebody says, as a lawyer, what aspect of a case takes up the most of your time? Preparation, review of evidence. When Camille Vasquez walks in to do a cross and she's got all those little moments picked out of the evidence that she can play tapes and so forth, that's because she's put a ton of work into that. And, you know, as a lawyer, one of the things that you get really good at is pulling up a video and going through it and having to watch it and watching for little careful details, reading through things very carefully. That is sort of a big deal there. So why do you think Camille didn't use Amber's admission in second cross to writing the op-ed because of Johnny's abuse? The jury knows. And quite frankly, lots of people asked me, did the jury, you know, gasp or anything when she said that? Jury didn't move. Jury had already gotten to that point before she opened her mouth. Jury already knew that that was what was going on. Steve Houston, thank you for the super chat there. I also just want to say one thing I think would be super entertaining is that if Johnny Depp wins money, I would like to see, I'd love to see him make a donation to the Children's Hospital and a donation to the ACLU. I think he should give the ACLU $1. And I think he should give the Children's Hospital some, and he's not under any obligation to do this. It'll be his money. He can spend it on whatever he wants. If he wants to spend it, building a giant statue of Amber Heard dropping a grumpy somewhere, that's his call. He's got that right. But if he goes and, I think it would be a classy gesture. The $1 is just purely as a, it's like the people who leave a 2-cent tip. That's kind of that. I didn't forget you. I'm just making, making a point there. And maybe he should just pledge the $1 and then he can, the better thing is he pledges the $1 and then he has it framed and he sticks it up on the wall behind him. And every time he ever does anything, he can have that pledged $1 up on the wall. And yeah. What got me interested in this trial? Honestly, I started out not super interested in it. I had to do a whole bunch of catch up. And I started off thinking I wasn't going to talk about it at all. But as it got going, there were a bunch of interesting legal issues. And that's what really gripped me. Like when you watch that cross-examination of Amber Heard, and I mean any of them because there were multiple, it's fascinating. You could learn a lot from that. And yeah, there's a lot going on. I mean, we saw expert witnesses, both good and bad. We saw psychological evidence. We saw computer evidence. We saw, all of this stuff. It's fascinating. I've done videos talking about, the leading objection. And I mean, that's just a fun topic, right? It's a good topic in terms of talking about objections and talking about, what the law means. But it gives me an opportunity to talk about the law in a way that people are interested in. Because one of the difficulties when you want to be a law, when you want to nerd out about law, is that it can be very difficult to actually to put that into a way that people aren't bored. Lawyers are, and the legal community is really bad at, at communicating the law to people, and people end up with these misunderstandings and so forth. Somebody says, when do you hope to start your dream doing mainly pro bono? I would love to do that tomorrow if I could. I just got to figure out sort of when finances make sense. And I can't judge finance. I mean, I've had this giant subscriber count, and I know if I was more courageous, I'd be saying, let's do it right now. But I can't predict sort of, I mean, half of these people or more, maybe everybody who followed me for Depp will say, I don't like this guy. He talks guns. He talks Canadian law, and may vanish. So I need to actually sort of, I need to kind of figure out what the finances look like on that. But yes, the dream is that YouTube pays my bills and that then I can just do law and help people for no money and just walk into a courtroom and be like, I am here helping this person because they need somebody to help them, and nobody else will do it because they don't have any money. That's where I want to be, is I want to be in a place where I can just help people. That's it. Can the jury do something like Amber has to pay $7 million to Canadian or children's charity in 1 calendar year? No, I don't believe they can. And if she doesn't, Depp gets his fill of 50 million request. I don't believe they have any authority to order the money to a third party. They can just give it to Depp, and that's it. Another similar stupid ban could be against motorcycles. Ban Harley Davidson motorcycles, and we'll get rid of the Hells Angels in Canada. I mean, yeah. Who's prettier, Amber or Camille? I mean, what are you asking here? Attractiveness doesn't matter in this one. Amber is stunning. I will absolutely yield that, but who cares? If you ask me who I want to sit down and have a coffee with, and I don't mean like a date, I mean just sit down and chat with. I would love to chat with Depp's team because they are a bunch of amazing lawyers. And, hell, if Camille Vasquez sent me a thing saying, come work for us, I will teach you my secrets on cross-examination. I'd probably be going, okay, let's see how I make this work. Let's see how I can, let's see if I can make it down to, to follow that because, I was super impressed. I was super impressed by a lot of the lawyers in that. So yeah, that's the thing there. Lauren Southern's covering the gun ban. I'm sure she's going to do fine on that. And somebody's saying, we'll definitely tell you if you get bored. You have fans now, prepare to get hassled, but it'll be okay. Well, thank you. I don't really know how to deal with the fans. I got to say, it is weird. The one night, and I'm not trying to say this to show off. I'm just saying this is weird. So after the Johnny Depp trial ends for the day, people go and line up to see Johnny Depp leaving. And I kind of wanted to go see that. I wanted to go just see what that was like because I'd heard it was a thing. And so I wanted to go check it out. So I go out there to see that happen and people cheered me. And I'm going, I am not here to be like, I'm not who you should be cheering. So yeah. Somebody says, who do I think was Amber Heard's most credible witness? I don't know how to make it happen, but I should really have a tumbleweed blow across the screen here. She had some really bad witnesses. I'm just trying to think if she had anybody who was really super credible. I may have to get back to you on that one. The ones who were really memorable were real bad. Scott R., thank you for the $20 super chat. Marilyn Como, did you and Rob know each other before this trial? Not even a little bit. I had never heard of his, heard he existed. And then, during this trial, he started sort of doing some of the commentary. So I became aware of him. People suggested he should make a channel, which was an excellent idea because he has great stuff to offer. And then he did and had a blowout video. So Rob didn't know me at all, right? Basically, I'm just some random dude. And then when he heard that I was going to be in Virginia to cover the trial, he said, hey, where are you staying? And I'm like, I haven't figured out my hotel yet because I need good Wi-Fi to stream. I was planning on going to different hotels and basically saying, can I try your Wi-Fi to make sure it's good enough? And he's like, no, man, stay with me. And for him to just open up his house out of nowhere, not knowing me at all. And I mean, I could be some sort of crazy person, right? I could be some sort of, weirdo. And I mean, I'm plenty weird, but I'm not weird in sort of the wrong ways. But I mean, check the hair. I am plenty weird. I'm tremendously grateful, and he was an amazing host, an amazing person to meet. It's one of those moments where you meet somebody and you're like, you're just like, I have met a friend and I think it's a lasting friendship. So, yeah, if you've seen me and Rob on a stream together, we have great fun. He's a great guy, and I wish nothing but success for him. And yeah. So Lori Leaney, thank you for the $7 super chat. Could you do a video as to how U.S. media and politics are affecting Canadian beliefs of Canadian rights, laws, and politics? Oh man, you have no idea how many times I've had a client in custody who goes, well, they didn't read me my Miranda rights. It's like, well, you don't have Miranda rights. Miranda was a U.S. case. We've got Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It's a different thing. But I mean, there's similar stuff. But yeah, Sylvia's mother. Thank you for the signed petition to have Camille appear in Aquaman 2. Oh my God, that would be hilarious. I mean, I don't think she's got time to appear. And yes, Rob is Law and Lumber. Somebody was saying that. I don't think she's got time to take on like a real role, but I would just laugh and laugh if they gave her a walk-on cameo role, even if they just had to take her face and like Photoshop it in, like drop her in as a green screened extra there. So yeah. There's a large difference between USA system, direct cross, redirect, etc., and Canada system. A lot of that is very similar. So a ton of that is 100% on the same thing. Thank you for the $10 left. Tumbleweed, excellent. Just sort of catching up here. The wife should be coming in the door shortly. I think I actually heard her, so I should probably check out soon. I owe her some of my time, and yeah, so that is sort of a thing there. Somebody's saying, do I think Elaine's career will take a serious blow after this? I don't know. I don't think it should. And I want to say that I think that she looks like a worse lawyer than she is because she's running a trial where the facts are against her and her client is utterly unsympathetic and meddling with her decisions very clearly the whole way through. Her deposition work was excellent. I suspect she's an excellent litigator, but not as excellent a trial lawyer. And that's sort of a distinction. But I think some of the criticisms of Elaine have been unfair. And I think it's affected, it has to have been stressful for her. And I have sympathy, right? So I hope it doesn't affect her career negatively. Is charter based on negative or positive rights? A mixture of the two. It depends on which section you're looking at. Some of them are positive rights. Somebody says, Dr. Spiegel is most credible. I think he got method and did all the drugs to make an informed opinion, willing to go that extra mile. Respect. I was kind of wondering where that was going, but I appreciate that super chat there. Scott R., I subscribe to you today because of your support for the right of every law-abiding person to defend themselves against a criminal who would do them harm. Absolutely. And I mean, everybody deserves a defense, and that includes people defending themselves, self-defense in terms of, somebody attacking you. It also means that same person, that same criminal deserves a defense in court, a defense against the state, because the state is, potentially a threat. And somebody saying that they, I'm just trying to look at the comment here. Somebody says she deserved Amber Heard as a client, unlike Rottenborn, who was worth more. Rottenborn is a better trial lawyer. But I think Elaine is probably a pretty good, like most litigation is done. You take depositions, you do all of this, and you work, and eventually things settle. And I think she would be an absolute, I think she'd be rough to encounter against that. But, as a trial lawyer, maybe not as good. So did I hear about the ACLU and the JD? I haven't read any lawsuits, so I don't know what's going on there. So I don't know what my take is on that. If they're suing him for $87K, who knows? If Amber Heard appeals and wins, will Elaine do the retrial? I have no idea. Hopefully Elaine is putting some distance between her and Amber, but I can't say. Willem Vanderbroek, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you for the €10. Please let me know if I got that wrong. That feels Dutch to me, and I think I'm trying to get that right. So, Runkle of the Bailey, I hope you can make your dream come true and do pro bono. That's exactly what I'm doing or trying to work at. Maybe ask Andrea Burkhart. She is a public defender and seems to care too about those unable to defend herself. I would actually love to do a stream with Andrea. She is, I really like her content and so forth. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap this up here, and thank you guys all for joining me. I really, appreciate it. I'm gonna sort of do another video later and kind of try to cover. I'm gonna go through the legislation in some detail. That might take me a couple of days because I'm gonna want to read through it with a fine-toothed comb. And tomorrow we also get a verdict, so we'll have to sort of see what's going on there. Anyway, thank you all for following, and thank you for watching. See you next time.